How is everyone? Good? We love it. Just to give you a little bit of background, I'm here with my wife, Jane. Raise your hand or stand up since, yeah, there you go. And we've been secret shopping you. We got here last Sunday. That's how much time we have spent in Kane County. And we didn't even get to places like Kodachrome. And I'm going to talk about those things. The other thing that Matt talked about is that we have been working all over the state. And I'm going to talk about what we've been doing. You have been secret shopped, and Matt's right. There was only one or two people where we accidentally spilled the beans, like Susan over there at Maynard Dixon House, where, you know, and there's no interviews, no heads up. They didn't tell us where to stay, what to see, what to do. We were here just like any other visitor. And that is really important. And by the way, we did not just wear the hat of tourism, but is this a place I would want to live to retire? Or is this a place somebody would want to come and raise a family? So we looked at it for quality of life. We also did, how are you as a place to work, invest in, or to bring a business? Would we do it here? And then the third hat is as a leisure visitor. And as Matt said, we've been doing this. We've now worked in 1,500 communities. We've worked in 45 states, Western Europe, all of the provinces in Canada, Scandinavia, most recently in Africa. And in Utah, we've been working in all of these places. Vicki Vrelli, your state tourism director, put together what is the model for the entire country. When she first took office, I was sitting on the board of the U.S. Travel Association, and of course all the state tourism directors also participate, and I met Vicki, and she goes, you know, one of my biggest pushes is going to be to help rural Utah. So it's not just Salt Lake City and the Valley. What can we do in rural Utah? She actually inherited the Mighty Five campaign, which, by the way, has been the most successful campaign in U.S. history. When I say successful, the amount of money that comes in, some people say it's not so successful because we're getting overrun. We've heard that in Springdale, and we're saying don't shut down the park, send them to this side. And so we've been working in all of those last year. Then this year, we assessed all of Emory County, Springdale, all of Zion National Park, all of these places that we have been secret shopped. So we're getting to know Utah pretty well. And then next year, we're not done yet because we're going to be doing Heber Valley, San Juan County over there. And by the way, the Utah Office of Tourism paid 50% of this. They really have their heart in making a difference. The reason I'm doing it rather than they're doing it is because I'm going to tell you some things that are going to make you very uncomfortable. And when you hold a politically charged office, I can say things that maybe some of you would like to say but can't without paying a political price. Imagine at the state level. And so there's going to be another grant opportunity coming in about a week. Now, this whole deal, we looked at marketing. Was it easy to find information about you? Was it good enough to close the sale? How do you stack up to the competition? And was it convenient to get information? Then what we've been doing since Sunday, basically since Monday morning, is we looked at your signage, your gateways, your wayfinding. Could we find things? You know, what was your overall appeal? What was our first impression? Critical mass, I'm going to explain that a little later on. Parking, restrooms, information. You know, what is there to see and do? And customer service, how did you do? As a matter of fact, we went through a list of 65 different things, and I'm going to go through all of them right now with you. Kidding. So, before we started, we knew we were going to do the entire county. The obvious thing is, let's get a list of hotels in Kanab. But we didn't. Because we thought, you know what? When we do the assessment, we get up before dawn every day this week. We're out on the road by like 8. And we come back at night. And I wanted to come back to somewhere where we could sit down and process the 346 photos we took, all of those things. And so we thought, you know what, let's do something that's kind of authentic Western. We spent our whole week out at Zion Mountain Ranch. That's where we stayed. We did not stay in Kanab. Number one, we like it because it's close to the north part, Orderville, Glendale, your areas, and it's just a great, beautiful drive, except for the number of deer that we found out are migrating down. And it's just an incredible setting. And so we stayed there. And Kevin, the owner, gave us a really great deal, which is nice since we're on a public budget. And we had a great time. And so what we've been doing this week, we did get up to Duck Creek, obviously. We went over there to Alton. We spent time in Glendale, Orderville, Mount Carmel Junction, Long Valley Junction. We went all the way over did all the East Line. We even went all the way over to Big Water, which we actually passed on the way coming in this time. We went over here by the Paria. Am I pronouncing it right? Paria? See, I asked like 3 people, how do you pronounce it? Is it Paria? And they said, no, it's Paria. I've been saying Paria for years. Okay, so now I'm probably going to say, okay, I've been really working hard on changing it to Paria. So anyway, and then of course we spent time in Kanab. And there are 5 major initiatives I'm going to go over with you. And the first one is first impressions. Then we're going to talk about a focus. What is it that you want to be known for? Then where's the product that backs it up? A marketing reboot. Because I got to tell you, Bryce Canyon does a better job marketing your product than you do. Okay, extending your seasons. So I'm going to dig right in. And this is going to be the heaviest hitting one. And this is first impressions. And we started at the gateway to Zion National Park on the east side here. And the national parks know how important first impressions are. You will not find a national park in the system that does not have a beautiful gateway. Okay? And we started with retail right there. Now, you're going to see a lot of these. Those are suggestions. There's no recommendations in here because we never talk to you first. You may see things you're already working on, but you know what? We don't know that. We did not have conversations first. And so you're going to see lots of suggestions. And by the way, when you hear that bell, that means that's a key one you need to concentrate on. So this store right here, I have no idea what it is. I don't know whether it's a restaurant. I don't know if it's a gift shop. I don't know what it is. I can tell it's open because there's cars there and people inside. And so signage is really important. By the way, for all of you in business, perpendicular signage, perpendicular to the freeway, always. Okay? Really important. So, but here, what we see as visitors are the weeds. We can see they have sandwich salads, but we only see these once we pulled into the parking lot. First impressions are critical. It's a great store, got nice stuff. One thing that we saw that was pretty disappointing in this whole area was the lack of authentic, locally produced things, because a lot of it is cheesy, cheap souvenirs. And if we're coming from the world, we want something that when we flip it over, it doesn't say made in China on it. Now, this shop, I'm not making an example. They did better than most shops. And so during this presentation, I'm going to talk a lot about the 7-8-7 rule. And the first 7 is this. 70% of first-time sales come from curb appeal. 70%. We all travel, every one of us. Have you ever said these words? That looks like a nice place to eat. We all do it. And so the curb appeal is so critical to people. So we've just gone through Zion National Park. We waited in line to get through the tunnel. We come out the east side. These are the first things we see. And so, when we see, come here, work. There we go. When you see this, you're just going, take down the sign or use it. Take down the pump. It doesn't exist anymore. When we see blacksmith shop and it says open, and by the way, we've driven by it about 3 or 4 times this week. We never did see anybody there. So if it's open, if it's not, then take down the sign. But better yet, tell us when it's open. You say open daily, mid-March through October 15th. because then it's an invitation to come back. Right now, there's no invitations to come back. And so those are the things that you need to do. So we did do that little part. And then we did go over to Alton. We thought it was really neat. So we did drive in there. Great little bedroom. Alton, thank you. I'm probably going to be corrected a lot. Alton, okay. There's some other ones. Maybe I'll. So great little community. Thought it was nice. Not a whole lot for well, nothing really for visitors. But it was fun to drive down in there. Well-kept homes, everything. But we concentrated south on Highway 89. Normally when I do the assessments, I kind of do it in a travelogue, but this time I grouped them. And so I got to tell you, this is the shame on you moment. Because you say, welcome to Glendale, and this is what you see. You know, so what I put up there, put your gateway signs where you make the first best impression out of the town limits. Because the second we see that, and the second we see this, we're going, uh-oh. And so, you know, those are the challenges. You know, this is what we saw coming down the highway. Yep, see, I told you, key point. This is what we see. Now, I love this truck. I love this car, this. I think it'd be great to go put them somewhere. I know, but we need them together because we got all of this stuff. We got all of this stuff. I mean, your first impression when you drive through these two towns are particularly Orderville and Glendale. I mean, you know, these are not exactly all classic. I mean, some of them are. But, you know, I'd rather see you find a place and put them all there, flat tires and all, rather than strewn among more than 150 that we counted, visible from the highway, abandoned vehicles. Blown out signs. You know, we were driving through and there are many places where I swear we could roll down the windows and hear banjo music. And I mean, if it's not the abandoned cars, it's this stuff. You know, I mean, this is what you see. And now this is a bright spot. However, the challenge is the sign is not perpendicular to traffic. You don't see it. You go right past it. I've probably driven by a sign a dozen times, and until we're doing the assessment, did I ever notice it. Signs always have to be perpendicular to traffic. Okay? The many times I've driven by here, I've always said, I want to go in the shop. Now it's gone. I can understand why a business in Glendale can't survive. Because if I was driving through Glendale and Orderville, I would just keep right on going. There's no reason to stop. And here's the deal. The state of Utah is spending millions of dollars every year to promote cash, bring cash into your area. The Mighty Five are in southern Utah. They're not helping Daggett County a whole lot. You're getting that. And by the way, Arizona is spending, you know, Arizona, the Grand Canyon state. Guess what? It's in northern Arizona. They're spending $1 million to bring people into your area. And this is what they get and what they see when they get here. And what does this say about you? I mean, you know, and you look at the businesses and you just, no wonder. You know, there you go. Love to see a site with some of these classic cars there on display, you know, rather than just mixed in, you know, and behind fences. There's no way we can stop and pull over anyway. It's on the highway. You know, you'd be turning lemons into lemonade by doing that. And so, you know, this is what we see. And, you know, things like this. I love this truck. 5,000 seems a little steep, but it's a cool truck. But then you got these. And so I just want you to see from our eyes what we see when we drive down here. Now, here's a place that says Tortoise in the Air, RV Park, custom dolls, porcelain and vinyl reborns. Now, porcelain dolls are pretty high-end. And they cater to a high-end customer. Yet these are the signs you see. These are the signs you see. I mean, does it say quality to you? No. It says low-end. It says garage sale. I mean, and so as businesses, and if I pull in here, I don't know this is where the porcelain, once you arrive here, I have no clue where you find them. So these are the challenges. I mean, and by the way, I'm only showing you half the photos I took. But what does this say? You know, I want, you know what? I don't see a whole lot of classic vehicles in this bunch. But here's the thing that you need to know. 40% of these visitors, foreigners. Here's the deal. So this week in November, we counted more than a dozen tour buses stopping at Mount Carmel. Is it Carmel or Carmel? Carmel, right? Yep. Want to make sure I get it right. Stopping at the junction. And I see them looking out the buses. I see them taking pictures as they're driving down this corridor. What do you think they're telling people in Japan? This is how Americans live. Or, wow, we've been to other places and not like this. This must be Utah. You know, what does this say about your communities? And better, here's the most important one, perhaps, is that if you come into Orderville, you go on a website, you hear the history, how Brigham Young established it, and it was a communal, and you hear the history. You hear people judge Utah, they judge the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church, by what they see when they come in. And it's a direct reflection on the church. I mean, I've said there are 4 towns in Utah that set the worst example. 4 out of 261. 2 in Emory County. Almo, Cleveland. They're not on the highway. Orderville and Glendale. And I got to tell you, even Kanab, not that great. And you know what? It's embarrassing. You know, like here's an antique shop. Is this in business? Does anybody know? Yeah, it is. How would you know? It's seasonal. There's no sign that says we're open every April through October or whenever. And by the way, every place we went and ate at this week was packed. Visitors are still here. You have to get out of this Memorial Day to Labor Day or middle of May to the middle of October mindset. We're still here. We're looking for places to spend money. Your museums are closed. Oh, we're seasonal. You know, I mean, you have so much. I'm really hard on you because I think I've said since day one that this area has more potential than any place in the United States. Look what you have around you. You get all of northern Arizona plus southern Utah. I mean, for me and many other visitors, even when I work in Cedar City, I stay off of 15. I come this way and then jump over through the Dixie National Forest. You know, and I am sorry. That may be cute and clever at some time, but once again, this is a reflection on church, community. You know, sometimes you got to change, particularly these days in the age of political correctness. And we just would not eat there. You're lost. But I'm just telling you, from a visitor standpoint, from urban areas, what do they see? This great little business, he's out there washing the mats, washing the sidewalks. I mean, I feel so bad for the businesses that are doing everything they can to get people to stop. And yet, once we see that sign that says, welcome to Glendale, or whichever way we're coming in, we've already made up our mind, let's get through here as fast as we can. And I feel bad for them. Because there's just too much of this stuff. You know, and you wonder why the businesses are failing. And this is a good reminder, whew, thank goodness gas is a little cheaper now. You could almost guess when it closed down, you know, by the price of gas. We saw great rock shops. I thought they were fine. I mean, I like to maintain the sign a little better. It looks like a great place, good outdoor displays. But you know what? You know where you put your old cars? I'd love to see you get some of these cool old 1950 signs and put them there with those cars. Wouldn't that be cool? Light them up again. But right now, this sends a negative impression of the rock shop. You know, and so, am I beating a dead horse here? I mean, I'm telling you, it was, you know, which ones do you show? What do you see? It's just constant. You hardly ever get a break. And then when you see something good along the way, you just go, can't be that good. Keep going. Because then you see that. You see, welcome to Kanab. And then right across the street, you see that. I mean, what do you think people say? And oh, by the way, you drive right around the bluff here, you see this. Or you come right more in, you see this. It gives new meaning to the word primitive arts. You see this. So it's not, it's all these communities. And by the way, we counted more than 130 non-drivable cars along the highway, and about 30 of them were classics. Cars. I'm not talking about buildings, signs, other things. I mean, even here, if I was coming up from Kanab towards Moki, is it pronounced Moki? Make sure. Moki Cave, I would see that and figure it's gone out of business, been gone for a long time. That would be my first impression. What would be yours? By the way, we did go there. And what was really interesting, there was 3 cars in the parking lot. I said, I swear these cars were here like 6 months ago. I pulled up photos from a year and 3 months ago when I was here with Vicki Varela, your state tourism director. The same 3 cars are still there in the same spots. They've never moved. I guess. But here's the point. We pulled up this week. Closed, no trespassing. I assume it's gone and out of business. Am I right? Here's what I want you to do as businesses, and you can tell everybody. Get rid of those signs and say, we are open every year from April 15th to November 15th. Invite us back, because I and many other visitors stopped there and said, too bad they went out of business. There's nothing that says seasonal. There's nothing, I don't know. Then here's the other question. When's your season? You know what happens is when you play this seasonal game, visitors say it is safe to go to this area between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And I know many of you are open, even seasonal ones are open before that and after that. But if you don't tell us when that is, we're only going to come here when it's safe. And you wonder why you have so many visitors in 90 days and the rest of the year you struggle. That's why. Like this, I don't know if this is coming or it already went. See what I mean? And by the way, for all businesses, it says energy. For all businesses, promote what it is you're selling before the name of the store. I don't know if that's energy drinks, a fitness center, a spa. I don't know what it is. I don't know what energy is. So these are the things you have to do if you want people to stop. We see, I guess this restaurant is now gone out of business. Am I right? So here's the problem. We don't know what's in business and what's not unless you make it very obvious. Here's the deal. Look at this. 3.4 million people drive through you every year. And they're judging the state, the church, Americans by what they see on the highway. Is it fair? Absolutely not. But it's what they do. Now, here's the point. If half of that traffic is you driving, down here, commute, you're driving in and out. If half are local, that still leaves 1.7 million people saying, oh yeah, I went through Orderville and Glendale and Kanab. And what did they see? What will they tell their friends, family, and neighbors about Mormons, the towns in southern Utah? So what to do? We were working in Battle Mountain, Nevada. It's along Interstate 80, 3 hours east of Reno. And an interesting thing happened. Population there, by the way, is, let's see, there it is, 3,600, okay? Their brand, Washington Post, did an article, and they named it the Armpit of America. And here it is when you drive into Battle Mountain. And here's what you saw. And you know what? Here is the cover of that Washington Post. There was a Shell station in the middle of downtown, and unfortunately the S was burned out. Welcome to, well, you get it. Now, worst place in America. I got to tell you, wasn't a whole lot different than what I saw here. So, when that came out, they were pretty darned upset. You can imagine the Washington Post saying that you're the worst place in America. But you know what? They got mad and then they decided to do something about it. They called metal scrap yards, and within 3 weeks, they hauled away at no charge to locals 40 tons of washers, dryers, refrigerators, scrap metal. I'm not counting cars. They hauled away 88 cars. You have twice that many. And you know what? Then they started doing things that got national attention, like they did fire departments come from around the country to do deodorant tosses. Really. They cleaned it up, and they became Nevada's outback, and it worked. So what do? If you have any ordinances that are abatement ordinances, you need to start using them. If you don't have them, you need to create them. Those cars in front of Monkey Cave, I would say any car parked in the same place for 30 days needs to be moved. I mean, these are the things, I'm sorry, you know what? These are your neighbors, your friends, people that go to church with you. And you know what? It's not, sometimes you have to move past that. And I know there's people who say, well, that's my house. How dare you tell me what I can do? And to heck with tourists. But you know what? Your neighbors own businesses. I mean, how many of you have kids that when they grew up, they said, the second they graduated from high school, they said, we're blowing this down. If you want your youth back, you better give them a place that they can be proud of. So this is far beyond just tourism. I would contact scrap metal companies like they did in Battle Mountain. I've seen it in other places. They will come out and get the signs. They will come out and do all that. And usually they do it for free because you're giving them the scrap metal. Now, cars, there are titles involved. We understand that. You know what? I would work with property owners saying, is it okay if we take on? Someone may say, I'd be happy to get rid of the junk. I have no money to do it. It's like, great, we'll do it for you. You may say, well, can we use public money to clean up private property? Absolutely. That's economic development. That's revitalization. And then take down old blown out signs, freshen other signs that need it. This should be your number one priority for 2017. By the way, coming into Zion National Park, 3 years ago, visitors increased by 500,000. 2 years ago, another 500,000. Last year, another 500,000. I mean, you're becoming one of the most visited destinations in the United States. And this is how you greet them. So, now that's the hardest thing I'm going to say today. But, you know, the next thing I want to talk about is a focus. What's your unique selling proposition? So did I hammer on that enough? I think you got the message. Here's the scoop.
Can I say something?
What's that?
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I've been here for about 30 years.
Okay.
I moved in from outside. We'd like to see the businesses prosper, and we've heard people that come in and talk about their stuff and about property rights and about cleaning it up.
Yep.
Several years ago, we had a family reunion, brought a bunch of Ron's cousins from back east, and as they drove through Glendale in a van that we rented, they said, God, this is a junky little place. But when I look at the cars up at the end of Glendale and Billy's, I know that the German guy was so impressed with it, he built them a website.
Yeah.
Because he's collected those, not junked them. And I also know that in order to be able to get this cleaned up, you need to understand how it got this way. How the people that lived here during the Depression, when your car broke down, you couldn't drive over the mountain and just go get a new alternator.
Right.
So they were resources.
Yeah.
Still resources.
Yeah.
But I think understanding that and coming up with a definition of where we're moving. Do we want to meet tourism in these little communities or ranching?
Even if you don't want to be tourism, if you wanted me to come here and open up a ranch, open up an orchard, open up any kind of business, I'd pick someplace else. Yeah. Go to Panguish, go to somewhere else. And you may say, good riddance. That's fine. But I'm telling you, this is not just about tourism. This is about you as quality of life and what people see. Talk to Susan over at the Mayor Dixon House and see what people say when they walk into the gallery. And I think there's a use for a lot of these. I think, great, let's do a scrapyard. Let's do a junkyard, and let's put the cars there so we can get those scrap metal. Let's put a cedar fence around it. Let's take the old cars. Let's go find a place for them where we could line them up and actually put a little sign there. Let people get out of their cars. I think it's cool. We don't have to restore them all. They're cool. I think you take lemons and turn them into lemonades, but right now you have more lemons than you do lemonade. And but yeah, well said. And so, when it comes to this whole thing, finding your unique selling proposition, how do you stand out from the crowd? In the United States, there are 19,500 cities and towns. Guess what? Only 1,000 have more than 40,000 population. Only 1,000. Only 2,000 have more than 20,000. You saw in this election how rural America stood up. That is the thing. So here's the deal. I could find every single city and town in the United States in a half a second if I have decent internet access. How do I stand out? All I have to do is type in any town, anywhere. And in half a second, I could get Wikipedia. I could tell you the population, all about it. So how do you stand out from everybody else? And here's why. As Americans, we're exposed to 5,000 marketing messages a day. 3 times more than 30 years ago. So much more that our minds now filter out anything that doesn't cater to us. So for instance, if I hear something about equestrian and I love horseback or love horses, my mind's going to perk up. But if I could care less about equestrians, our minds now say we can't even absorb it, we don't even notice it, we don't remember it more than a couple of seconds. But because communities everywhere, and even businesses, are trying to be all things to all people, 97% of all community-based marketing is ineffective, nationwide. Have you ever gone anywhere that had something for everyone? No, you go where there's something that caters to you. You have to stand for something. I speak at tourism conferences all the time. I've spoken in Utah's annual tourism conference last 3 years. Look at those. I say avoid those words and phrases. Could all those words and phrases you up there fit anybody anywhere in Utah? Sure. I was speaking in Wisconsin doing this list. We had like 800 people in the audience. A lady jumped up and went like this. And I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, I think we're using all of those. Explore, discover, experience outdoor recreation, unlike anywhere else. We have so much to see and do in our 4 seasons. She went right down the list. But that's the problem. You don't stand for anything when you do this. And so that is the tourism list for businesses and communities. Okay, this is the place, I get that one. And by the way, that's a little bit north of you where that was said. And so there's the economic development list. Forget tourism. Wouldn't it be great if you had jobs here? By the way, back to what I just got done with the thing we were just going through about curb appeal. For the first time in U.S. history, quality of life is leading economic development. First time. That is the power of the internet, and that is the power of quality of life. And so, but here's what cities everywhere use. Could that fit everybody, anybody, everywhere? Of course. And you'll wonder why 97% of our marketing is ineffective. It's the same old thing. So to win, you must narrow your focus. You must jettison the generic in all your marketing as businesses and as communities. And by the way, logos and slogans are not brands. You can spend all the money you want creating more logos and slogans, and none of them are going to close the sale. Brand identities make up 2% of brand. They always get 98% of the money, the political attention. 2%. Have you ever gone anywhere because they had a great logo? Have you ever said, you know what? Let's head to Page. They have a really good logo. Or have you said, let's go up to Panguish because, we don't want to go up to Panguish because we think their logo sucks. Of course not. We spend way too much time on this stuff. And there you go. You have spent far too much time, money, and effort on logos and slogans that won't close the sale. It's just my opinion. You know, for people, I get this one. I get the play on words, the greatest snow on earth, so the greatest earth on snow. But you know what? 90% of people that come to Utah don't even know about the other slogan. And I'm not saying paint over this. It's totally fine. But all of these things are not enough to close the sale. And when we drive through your communities, the whole unspoiled, you're going, really? You're putting a promise out there. Oh, well, the unspoiled, you have to get out of town. Number 2, a brand is a perception. It's what people see when they drive through. It's when they talk to your frontline employees. I'll give you a good example. When you're in the Kanab area and you go in almost anywhere and you mention best friends, you're going to either hear, oh, it is so awesome, or can't stand it. I mean, there's nobody that's in the middle of the road with best friends. I mean, it's one way or the other, and we're going, oh my gosh, people are sure opinionated about best friends. But these are how we get our perceptions. You know, it's the people we meet in the restaurants, your frontline employees. For the most part, they don't do a very good job. They're there earning minimum wage and they could care less. One example, Little Hollywood Museum. Walked in, 2 gals. Both working there on their cell phones, looked up and said, if you're here for the museum, it's out back. That's it. That was the entire conversation. And they weren't alone. When we go to the web and we just type in something, we type in Glendale, Utah, and we just click on images, these are the impressions. What does it say about you? Okay, some of them are cool. There we go. Ghostbusters. You know, I mean, you know, some of them you think are pretty cool, but, you know, oh, I thought that was really cool. I didn't even see that. It's what we read. It's the reviews on Yelp, TripAdvisor. It's what we read in the paper. Brands are perceptions. It's what people think and say about you, good or bad. It's also a promise. Whatever you're putting out there, magically inspired. Really, are you delivering on that promise? And sustainable brands are built on product, not marketing. Here's the quote for you. Marketing will get us to you exactly once. Only your product is going to get us to come back. And if we come here once and it's been there, done that, why would we ever come back? Pretty soon you're going to run out of customers. They've already been here and done it. Product. Successful brands have a razor-sharp focus. In business, attorneys. This is down, Russ Brown, the motorcycle. If you go down, call Russ Brown. Motorcycle attorneys. Here's the attorneys for you. Yep, you got it. Divorce mediation. It's better to talk. Attorneys. This is intellectual property. Attorney specialized. Insurance company special. I love this one. Guys plus jump, I'll catch you, plus oopsie daisy equals why we only insure women. That's actually pretty good. And pretty true, too. Westin Hotels promotes the heavenly beds and heavenly bedding. They now make more money selling bedding than they do overnight stays. Holiday Inn Express, #1 rated guest showerhead. Everybody, quite frankly, I take the heavenly beds, but everybody's looking for their point of differentiation. In Central California on the coast is the Ventana Inn. It needed a lot of work. 1/3 of its customers were families with kids. You know what they did? They spent millions of dollars remodeling the hotel, and their prices were like $120 a night. They raised the prices to like $500 a night, $600 a night, spent millions of dollars, and they said, if you're under 21, you can't even stay here. How would you like to get rid of 1/3 of your customers, get rid of them totally, put millions in a hotel, jack up your prices, and then run ads like no kids, be kids? Well, guess what? They run at 96% occupancy. They pay back the millions of dollars they spent in 3 years because they differentiated themselves. So what differentiates you as a business and as a community? You need to sharpen your message. To win, your name must be synonymous with your brand. So I want you to give the state something to promote other than a list of we have this and this and this and this and this. And by the way, everybody south of Provo promotes the same things you're promoting. And we've had these conversations in St. George and Cedar City and up north of you in Emery County. So here we go. This I need audience participation for this. See if you're awake. I want you to tell me who owns these brands. Country Music Capital, who owns it? Nashville, okay. You're a little bit quiet. Still shell-shocked from my opening. Okay. Country Gambling Adult Fund, who owns it? Absolutely. Kids and Family, who owns it? Now, you just did exactly what I thought you would do. You did not say Anaheim or Orlando. You said Disney. It just goes to show that the experience, the brand, trumps the location. You're absolutely right. Okay, Music Theater Capital is not New York City. Where would it be? Anybody know? Branson, Missouri, a town of 10,000 now that hosts 7 million visitors, has 49 music theaters, all privately owned. You're right. Okay, Graceland Elvis is where? Memphis. Now, do you think there's more in Memphis than Graceland? Yeah, some people said no. But you know what? There's more there, but it's the one thing that puts them on the map. Winery capital of the United States would be where? You got it, Napa Valley. Frozen tundra? Green Bay. It's only guys that ever answer that. Green Bay. Packers. We have Packers fans? Yeah, okay, there we go. You know, and you know what? We were working in Green Bay and they said, Roger, can you help us out? Because, you know, we have the same weather as Minneapolis and Chicago, yet people avoid us in the winter outside of Packer games because we're known as the frozen tundra. That was a football game played in 1967. Brand's thick. Okay, here you go. Let me tell you the town. You tell me what the brand is. Hershey, Pennsylvania. What's their brand? You got it. Picture kind of gives it away back there. Okay, here we go. Gettysburg. What's their brand? You got it. Civil War. Okay, how about Lancaster, Pennsylvania? Amish. You know, Washington, D.C. You're right. Corruption. Okay, confusion. Okay, government. Really confusion. Yeah, no kidding. Love it. Hollywood. Movies and stars. I mean, you know, Kanab. See? I mean, is it little Hollywood? And by the way, you know, the nails are pointing up here. I'm waiting for somebody to walk. This is what you see when you go there. It's the last thing I would brand you as, based on what you have right now. I mean, I think these are really cool. That is cool. Love them. So, you simply cannot be all things to all people. The narrower your focus, the stronger your success will be. And by the way, brands, they own their niche. I'll show you a few Utah ones that we've been helping them with. America's most scenic trophy trout destination. It's no longer Daggett County. By the way, you need to quit marketing Kane County. Have you ever gone anywhere because it was a county? We don't. So, Flaming Gorge Country. And by the way, when you do ads, you better catch their attention. There you go. 5 Utah records and 6 in Wyoming. You know what I mean? It goes to the average catch size is 15 inches. It goes on and on. Flaming Gorges. I mean, everything they do looks like these. #1 trophy trout destination in the United States. Okay? We're not marketing Box Elder County. We're marketing Bear River Refuge. I mean, it is the West's best birding experience. But you know what? Birding only caters to 3 to 4% of the population. Did you know that the big SLR cameras, you know, the big, even digital SLR cameras, outselling, you know, the days of the little Canons? Gone. We use our cell phone or we use real cameras. So he said, because birding is so small, and if we want to get other generations there, why don't we make the focus on photography and the birding is the subject matter? Redefining living art, Bear River. See? So the focus now is broader than just birding. And by the way, if you're in Box Elder County, they also go way out over to the Bonneville Salt Flats. They've got these things called sun tunnels. Ever heard of them? Why don't you make that photography-based as well? I mean, you could go down in the southern part of Emery County, an otherworldly experience like nowhere else on earth. You know, and this is Goblin Valley. Love it. You know, and so look at even the logo. You know, even played up with, you know, we would have loved it if they would have filmed, what was the movie? Oh, The Martian. There. It was filmed actually in Jordan. But we thought, wouldn't it be cool there if you could have people tell their story, social media, to promote Goblin Valley. And so, like this. We pitched the tent, went to sleep, and during the night, we were surrounded by goblins. You know, what's your story? And people could tell their story. So even up in Castle Valley communities, and when I'm talking about Castle, I'm talking about Orangeville, Castledale, those communities. Joe's Valley, the West Best bouldering destination. By the way, these have all been proven by third-party endorsements, not just because they said so. So you want bouldering? There you go. Don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits, Joe's Valley. It's not even about the town, it's the experience. You know, don't limit your challenge, there you go. This is all Joe's Valley. And then you say, by the way, here's our towns. What's your niche? In Green River, we knew that was the one place where you could do slick rock biking and do river activities both in the same location. Ride, rinse, repeat. Utah brands. Park City, what do you think? Upscale skiing resort destination, right? Okay, Salt Lake, pretty obvious. Provo, what is it? No question. Farmington, what is it? You got it. See what I mean? Moab, you got it. The mountain biking capital of the world. Brian Head, working with them right now. You know what they're going for? Utah's family mountain resort destination. It's all about family. You can go there in the middle of summer and kids can be fishing in the pond. They can be doing archery. They can be sliding down the hill in the summer. It's got the best beginner ski slopes because they're over on one side of the highway from the main ski slope, so they're not interrupting each other. Bear River Country, Beaver River Country, not Beaver County. All things equestrian. I did an assessment in Beaver County. We had about 65 people in the audience. I said, is there anybody here who doesn't own a horse? And 4 hands went up. It's the lifestyle there. Logan, best place to raise a family. Gotten awards and everything. Amazing. Memorable brands evoke emotion. We just got done doing this in Ogden. How many of you have a positive perception of Ogden? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6. How many have a negative perception of Ogden? Okay, a lot more. How many of you don't have any opinion? Everybody else. Okay. So, Ogden, the least LDS town in Utah. It was founded on rail, booze, and brothels. Really. So how do you do that? Look at this. For 3 decades, John M. Browning designed firearms for other companies. In 1905, he invented the world's first semi-automatic shotgun. Winchester told him there would never be a market for it and refused to buy his design. Browning decided to build it himself and launch one of the biggest firearm brands in the world because he was from Ogden, Utah. During the Prohibition era, Al Capone could go anywhere and do anything, but he avoided the speakeasies and brothels of Ogden, Utah, telling his cronies, it's a little too rowdy for my taste. While no one messed with Al Capone was smart enough not to mess with Ogden. Damian Lillard, kid from Oakland, basketball star. Nobody picked him up, no major university. Here he was, and he get a call from this little lily white college, Weber State. We'll give you a full ride scholarship. He's going, okay, me, a black guy, Utah, the perceptions. You're right? Weber State, where the heck is that? Ogden? You know what? Broke every collegiate record. Got drafted by the Portland Trailblazers. Just signed a $125 million contract. Extension. And he wears that letter 0, not because it's the letter 0, it is O for Oakland, Ogden, and Oregon. And everywhere he goes, he proudly wears Ogden made. So, you should have seen the consternation. But the pride when we start going into restaurants saying, you're here in Ogden, what do you think? And you know what we heard? I freaking love it here. And that's what they're using. What are they using? Still Untamed. Best downtown in Utah, 25th Street. It used to be, I talked to people there when they're growing up, they said, oh, when we would drive down 25th Street, my grandma would say to duck down so you don't get shot. That was the reputation Ogden had. By the way, Ogden is winning awards around the world. But guess what? If you talk to people about Ogden, Utah, outside of Utah, they have no negative perception at all. In the Salt Lake Valley, you say, I'm from Ogden, they say, oh, so sorry. And you know why? For visitors, if you take on Interstate 15, you take any one of those Ogden exits, you pull down to the bottom of the exit, you will see piled up cars, blue tarps on roofs, and that's how they judge you. And it's not that much different. So, if you want to go through this process, they're even going to do it. States even said, man, if there are more people want to do what Ogden did, we'll pay out. Brands last for generations, good or bad. I mean, this was Ogden, a history of violence, Ogden's 25th Street. But now it's totally changed. Look at their messaging. While we've replaced bootlegging, prostitution with gambling, with skiing, climbing, kayaking, and mountain biking, Ogden's soul will always remain untamed. If you want homogenized, we're probably not for you. Brands have to be more than skin deep, by the way. I mean, we were working in Battle Creek, Michigan, home of Kellogg. Kellogg was founded on healthy living. Really. But you know what they became known for? Frosted Flakes. They said, we want to get back to our roots, healthy living. That's going to be our brand focus. So we did some research. Guess what we found out? Calhoun County, Michigan, where Battle Creek is the fattest county in the United States. You can't go say something if you don't even live it or believe it yourselves. Your brands need to be in your schools, everywhere. And if you have to explain it, toss it. What does it mean? So, there you go. Just to recap this. You know, what sets you apart? Successful brands, there it is. I mean, there you go. I'm just rehashing that. What happened to number 8? Number 11, there it is. They evoke emotion. Duck Creek. So let's talk about you. Power sports capital, OHV, snowmobiling. Yes?
Is that information that you're showing us, is that going to be available to us on the internet?
Absolutely. By the way, this entire workshop is being filmed professionally. And we're going to send Matt and Camille over at Tourism Office. These physical presentation PDFs will have all of this for you. And that video hopefully will be on YouTube. We'll make sure that everybody that's on Matt's email list, and if you're not on the list, Matt is right here. He's the one who introduced me. Let him know. So we got Matt Brown right here, and we got Matt Black back there on the camera. Easy, brown and black. Both Matts. So, Duck Creek Village. Went up there. And easy, quit marketing Long Valley, just so you know. I don't know where, we finally found a map of Long Valley. You know what it was? It was a square. I said, that's the weirdest shaped valley I've ever seen. But in your marketing, you're just confusing it with too many overlays. Now, I think that Kanab is probably not in the valley, but Orderville and this is. See, but for a visitor, we don't care. So you could be Long Valley, there's Long Valley Junction stuff, but when you say, well, we are Southern Utah, we're Kane County, we have Long Valley, then we have this, don't put too many layers out there. It just confuses us as visitors. So, because we were trying to find the town of Long Valley. We found the junction, but we didn't find anything else. So we're on our way to Duck Creek. We see it here. We start pulling into places like this. They say registration, and of course, I think it's closed for the season. We couldn't really tell. And it says registration. We drive down. We see this. It says open, but the doors were all locked. So I'm not, see what I mean by if you don't give us a very pleasant experience, we're probably not going to come back. And so there's nothing that says we're open year-round or we're only open whatever the season is. Love it, Duck Creek Village. This here, Duck Creek, welcomes you. It looks like there used to be something there, but here's what I want you to do. Now, you can go to Utah Department of Transportation and wait for 5 years. You know what? This is on film, isn't it? Because I was just going to have you go and do that. Notice? You know what happens is, all the times I've driven by Duck Creek, I see the sign, and the next thing you know, I'm past it because there's nothing that said, it says Duck Creek. I figure it's going to be along the highway. It's not. So by adding, going from that to that, you're telling us, next right. So work with UDOT, district engineer, add that. And we pulled down there this time. We knew that was there, and so we pulled down in there. Great little place, love it. And this, I think, is the coolest thing ever. The dance hall. That is so cool. Now, here's my question. I know we have people from Duck Creek. Does stuff ever happen in here? How often?
About 3 times a year.
What's that?
3 times a year.
3
4 times. There's events, community events.
So what I would do is I'd put a little sign that says 2017, here's the upcoming events. And here's why. Because it's an invitation to come back. And nobody in this county really does it. And so it's really cool. I think that is just a neat little place. Now, for all you businesses, never more than 4 signs in your windows. This place has 19. And what happens is when you blast us with too many signs, we ignore them all. And I'm just using Mark's sub shop is an example, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm not even counting the brochure. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I mean, it's too much. Little places like this looks awesome. Candles, wind chimes, log furniture, drove in. And our challenge is, well, are you open or are you closed? And I don't know when you're open. I don't know whether you're around. I don't know if this is a business and this is a different business. But all the doors are closed, locked. And so we just don't know. You need to make it obvious. Love the decorate. By the way, Duck Creek does a great job putting up their holiday displays. The whole village does a great job. We had lunch here. Why? It pulled us in. Great displays outside, look cute. So we had lunch there. Great burgers, by the way. And so, great little shops. I mean, just great. Gift shop, Mountain Man Realty, the corner deli. Overall, they do a good job. I wish they brag about being pedestrian friendly. There are no sidewalks. And it's not that pedestrian friendly. I mean, people go rip roaring through that little village. It's like, whoa, you get blasted with rocks and dust. So that would be a nice thing if you could do it down the road. And great little cabins. I mean, UTV, ATV. Okay, what is UTV? Utilitarian? I mean, those are the side. See, I'm all confused by ATV, OHV, ORV. I mean, there's like 10 different names. I never know which one is the right one. But we were in Duck Creek about 5 minutes. It was obvious what Duck Creek was about. I mean, everywhere we went, this is what you saw. And I thought, boy, if it, there's what I put. It took all 3 minutes to see the brand, Utah's mountain OHV destination. It could be snowmobile in the winter. And I mean, it was just obvious. You're at, 8,400 feet? I mean, you're the same as Brian had. I mean, you're the place in southern Utah that you could do this and own it. I think you already own it. You just need to say it. Now, does that mean you can't do anything else there? Of course not, but it's what puts you on the map. And so, it was just everywhere you go. It was just obvious. So I thought, because we're working with the Utah Office of Tourism, we thought, well, how would you do this? So if you had Utah's top OHV destinations, if you want mountains, dunes, or red rock, we'd send you to Duck Creek and Dixie National Forest. Okay? If you want dunes, Coral Pink Sands. Different experience. A lot of times a different buggy. You want red rock? San Rafael Swell. Emery County. I mean, they got it in spades. See, so you're different. And you can pick yours. You may say, I'm going to do all three. Fantastic. It puts you on the map. By the way, coming the other direction, same thing, need narrow. Too many people are going by, and once they go by, they're past it. And by the way, this is for everybody. Billboards, never more than 14 words. 8 or fewer is better on billboards. On signs like this, 4 to 6 maximum. No way can I read all that stuff. I'd have to stop, get out of the car, walk across the highway, and up to the sign to be able to read it. So what you could do here, Duck Creek welcomes you. I would just put, right now you could just put in big letters, left now, turn left now. And you could put the OHV snowmobile capital. It puts you on the map. And then just put dining, lodging, activities, retail, or something like that, 3 words. So people know that you have dining, lodging, and retail. OHV capital. That's what I would do. Now, there's a problem in Utah. And this requires the legislature. And all the funding for tourism goes to counties. Consumers could care less about counties. And it's really sad that when we work over in Washington County about Zion and Springdale and Hurricane, and see, I know how to pronounce that one now. I got corrected there too. Lavercan, those communities, and they're saying, we need a reservation. So we have too many people. We don't want tourists to come here. I'm going, it's too bad that side doesn't talk to this side. But with Duck Creek, we've been working in Bryan Head and that whole area, Cedar City, that whole area. And so we're working with the state to kind of redefine these boundaries. Because St. George is promoting Springdale, and St. George is an entirely different experience. And by the way, Springdale, Hurricane, that area is here. Yes, some of them are in the same county, some of them are not. But St. George could be a standalone destination. And then you've got Cedar City, Bryan Head area. And then you've got, Kanab and Southern Highway Corridor. And when I was talking to Bryan Head, they said, Roger, could you talk to the state, because we really want to promote Duck Creek Village, because up here at Cedar Breaks and stuff, we don't allow RV, we don't allow snowmobiles. It's national park land. We want to partner with Duck Creek. They are related. So when I was in Duck Creek, when Jay and I were in Duck Creek, every single person we talked to would say, so where do you guys go? When you need to go someplace? Cedar City, Cedar City, Cedar City. I said, do you ever go down to Kanab? No, we have no connection. Now, I'm not saying that in Kane County you don't promote Duck Village, but Duck Creek Village, but I really believe that they're oriented to the Dixie National Forest, which is what Cedar City, Bryan Head, they all promote. And you've got the mountain, you've got the power sports destination for them. So that was one brand idea. By the way, these are just suggestions. East Zion, Highway 9. Living the true Western wilderness experience. I got to tell you, when you drive out there, first of all, when you get past Mount Carmel Junction, you go through a decompression. If you've ever driven out there, you just start to decompress. And we drove out there. Look at this. I'm going, man, we're a week early. That's not even, there's like 20 other turkeys right there. I have to, I stole these pictures from Zion Mountain Ranch where we stayed, so I appreciate that. Is Kevin here? Okay, back there they are. Okay, this, it's the agriculture. It's these, and I took these from their website. And so this is a true mountain experience. Now, this does not put down Springdale, because I have said, and I will continue to say, it is the best town in Utah. Every one of their stores is open till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And they're open year round, about 90%. See, told you, key point. Best town in Utah. But it's the urban experience. You stay in a hotel, you've got a swimming pool, you walk up and down, you got the shopping, you got the art. This is totally different. I really felt like this is a place for deep, transformative connections. And I'm not putting down Springdale. Take your pick. If you want more of the urban experience, You'll find it at Springdale. It's closer to 15. It's more of it's a great, fantastic food, shopping, art destination. But if you want to go out and stay in a cabin, do horseback riding, and in Zion Mountain Ranch, I suggested I wouldn't even do power sports here. I would do cross-country skiing. I would do horseback. I wouldn't even let power, because that's what you're about. Be silent sports. You know, and when you're out there, it's Clear Creek Ranch. Woo. Clear Creek Family Ranch, family reunions, that's what they're about. I mean, I did go up to Zion Ponderosa and snooped around there. We have our folks here from there. By the way, this sign's perpendicular to the highway. Always perpendicular. We only see this as we're driving past, which means it needs to be double-sided. So, but we went there, and once again, it's still the cabin experience. Now, this is a little different than Zion Mountain Ranch, which is totally fine. You still get the true Western experience, but here you can be a little more adventure-oriented with the Jeep tours, or you have mini golf, or you can play tennis, great tennis complex. You can jump in the pool. They have a great rock climbing. Well, I even wanted to go do that. And I might make it up to about here. And you know, and so I thought, so if you want more of the urban experience, the hotels, nice lodging, food, arts, and everything, Springdale, no question. If you want the Western experience, you want more of an adventure resort, or do you want the more silent sports resort? See, they blend together. And even the campground, you know, High Road could tap into that. And so we kept thinking, with this whole situation, really, there it is, high mountain power sports. I might have sneaked over to Brian Head too, because they connect. And then I thought, okay, branding. We got wilderness adventure. You could do the silent, you could do the more active. And here you got the more urban, easy access, nightlife, shopping, dining, and the arts. Ranches instead of resorts. I'm so glad that Zion Mountain Resort went to Zion Mountain Ranch. Get the difference? And I thought, see how these can blend together. But the problem is this side needs to talk to that side. And that is the challenge. We got to fix that. And then over here, that's the big question. But I got some ideas. So let's talk about Glendale, Orderville. We need to find a foundational work farm. I want to give you some examples. Hamilton, Missouri. Population, just 1,750. Home of James Cash, that's where JCPenney was from. Challenge, town was dying. Brand, home of the Missouri Star Quilting Company. The product, Jenny Doan and her family. You know, if you want to know where this place is, you know, it is right there. She moved from Northern California with her family, 7 kids. Probably LDS. I don't know. Okay, Catholic. So, I was the oldest of 7 kids, so you can guess. Okay? They moved there. Her husband got a job in Kansas City. And she pulled into town. She went, oh my gosh, what have you gotten us into? But this is a very important story. Welcome to Hamilton. You can see that Jesus is alive on Sundays. Oops, went wrong way. Apparently he's not alive the rest of the time. I got a crack out of that. But Jenny said, I got to supplement my husband's income, and she liked doing quilts. So Jenny moved there. There she is, 7 kids, 21 grandkids now. You can guess. Okay, a knack for making things quick and easy. Needed something to support their income. And so she found out a way to make a quilt in a day. And so she went on YouTube and started putting these views on YouTube's Quilting Easy. Her family, her son, everybody, they all got together and they went and got her quilting machine. And they went and bought an old post office or building in Hamilton and put it there. She started getting more and more views. And so, look at this, more than 50 million views. All of a sudden, she was on the national news. Take a look.
Quilt making. It's now possible to create an individual blanket work of art in as little as a day. And as you'll see, what this one woman has done is a good thing for her small Missouri town, putting the place on the map and becoming something of a celebrity in the do-it-yourself community. We get her story tonight from NBC's Harry Smith.
It looks like it's been a while since Hamilton, Missouri has been the hotbed of anything. But stop in at the Missouri Star Quilt Company on Main Street, and you'll see dozens of people from miles around who have come to see and hear Jenny Doan.
All I was hoping for was, here's Jenny.
Doan figured out how to streamline a process that once took months and even years.
That's our whole goal, is to make it easy. It's always been one of these kind of mysterious things that's way out there that our grandmothers did.
Now just about anyone can make a quilt in a day.
That.
People who quilt the old way,
The purists, yes.
purists,
Yes,
right?
purists.
When they look at somebody like you, you're kind of a heretic.
How cool is that? Well, here's my favorite. We're kind of like the McDonald's of the quilt world, you know. I know this looks a little crazy, but
Jenny Doan's quilting revolutions included a few videos she posted on YouTube.
I know it looks really hard, but it's so easy.
In them, her philosophy. First, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And
I don't want to make something that's going to sit on a shelf that's so special that nobody wants to use it. I want to make something that is loved and worn out to the last thread.
turns out Jenny is so good and her shortcuts work so well.
She's giving me my therapy sessions every day.
Sunshine in a barrel.
She now has 150,000 subscribers, and her tutorials have been viewed more than 28 million times. And the Missouri Star Quilt Company is the fastest growing business around. Which is that much more gratifying because Jenny and her family have been knocked flat by the recession, says her son Alan.
Looking around, the fact that we have 85 employees that all feed their
Hear
families
that?
because of what we do just blows me away.
So your name is Nancy? Yeah.
And because people now flock to Hamilton to see Jenny in person, plans are afoot for restaurants and accommodations. Amazing what can happen when you patch new ideas together. Harry Smith, NBC News, Hamilton, Missouri.
Now, look where this, check this out. Yeah, I think it's coming. There we go.
The small towns across America have been facing tough times with many businesses and people moving out.
In Hamilton, Missouri, our Garrett Hake found a family business that's bucking the trend and revitalizing a community.
Who knew quilting could inspire this kind of passion?
I just had like this crawly feeling. I need to get defiance.
At the Missouri Star Quilting Company, they're using that passion to sew up a big spending niche market.
That first year, it was our family that worked the shop 8 to 5 every single day, and no one took a paycheck for the first year.
Al Doan took out a loan to buy a quilting machine and a small building to house it at the start of the recession in 2008. His mom, Jenny, hoped to turn a hobby sewing quilts into a modest business. The family would all help out. Now that family business is a multi-million-dollar enterprise, the largest private employer in the county, and the largest fabric provider of its kind in the world.
The secret
Wow.
to their success, Mom is a YouTube sensation. Her videotape demonstrations at this table have been seen by more than 19 million viewers online.
Well, I never draw the line. I iron it.
Every day, quilters flock to the store to study in person with their online guru. This woman lives in Florida.
She is to us what Oprah is to the world.
Now the company is using booming online sales revenue to expand, snapping up buildings in a crumbling downtown. This fall, they'll open a small hotel.
What we're trying to do is sort of be the Disneyland for quilting, right? Bring them to town, give them a place to stay, some food to eat, something, some things to do, where every time they come, they just have a great experience and love what they see here.
But for Doan, it's not about the quilting, or even the money.
I'm not passionate about quilting, but I'm passionate about what quilting does for our community and what the opportunities that it opens up.
Now that company makes most of its money on online mail orders. I talked to the postmaster there. He told me two-thirds of the mail that comes into Hamilton, Missouri is coming in or out of their warehouse. They've had to add staff hours at the post office just to keep up. We're live in the newsroom. Garrett Hake, 41 Action News.
Great to see something happening in a small town like that. That's a great story, Garrett. Thank you.
So, international exposure, now a pilgrimage destination. People are coming from around North America to little Hamilton, Missouri. Now they're trying to find, what do the guys do? And they're working on that. 180 full-time employees as of last month. And look at this, several new restaurants, conference training center, new retail shops, hotel is now coming soon, 2/3 of all the mail is coming for them. The post office had to hire 6 new employees in a time when they're closing post offices around the United States. And you know what? Largest provider of quilting fabric in the world. I mean, it's more vibrant today than it's been in 50 years. That's all it takes. And so this is the power of a narrow focus and somebody that's doing something that puts you on the map. I'll give you one more real quick here. Jerome, Arizona. Anybody here ever been to Jerome? I mean, look at this. I mean, okay, population is now 800. I got to correct that. It was the largest ghost town in Arizona. It takes commerce, the coolest arts town in the West. Look at this. But here's the story. If you don't know where Jerome is, I invite you to go there. Because you know how I gave you a bad time about all the cars and the junk on the highways? They were pretty much the same. And it was, of course, a mining town. And what happened is the mines were underneath these buildings. And over the years, the buildings were literally falling down into the mines. And they went from a population of 15,000 down to 50. 50. But you know what? Artisans start buying up houses. This is it these days. They start buying old hotels and fixing them up. I mean, they went there because it was cheap. This place is amazing. You can go in there and you can see gay people there having dinner in a restaurant and then a whole group of Harleys right across the street. I mean, it is just a melting pot of epic proportions. It's really a cool city. A little town. Yeah, this is why artisans moved there. It was a laid-back atmosphere, inexpensive. It was a ghost town. There's no real rules and regulations, which now they're starting to do them. But you know what they're doing? The artisans are the ones making the rules for the city. So they're driving the bus. And 25% of the population are physical artists, work there. Highest ratio in the United States. And they actually helped their comprehensive plan. Look at that. And they even bought the old high school, and Ellen DeGeneres goes there to buy furnishings. You know, they bought the old high school. I mean, they start buying these old places and just fixing them up. And you know what? This town is one of the coolest places in the entire state of Arizona. It is chock full of galleries, museums. I mean, you name it. This is the biggest kaleidoscope store in the United States, and it's a little Jerome. I mean, you've been in there? I mean, it is really cool. And so, you know, the Barnwood Furniture Store, you reclaim Barnwood for, what is it? It is, I can't remember the name of the shop, sells stuff all over the world. It is really cool. So, when I talk about the state of Orderville, when I talk about the state of Glendale and even Kanab, whether it's art, whether it's quilting, whether it's something, it can start small and it could change everything. And so over the years, they started cleaning up things and it worked. And now they call themselves the biggest ghost town in America. And now they're saying, well, we're no longer that. Population is up to 800 from 50. Historic hotels, cool B&Bs, 30 working studios. I mean, the #1 romantic weekend getaway in the state of Arizona. I mean, on and on and on. Another one, Julian, California. Everybody ever heard of Julian, California? It's down by San Diego. Okay, what do you know them for? Apple pie. There you go. Why drive 2 hours from Julian? Famous Julian apple pie. Everyone has their own recipe. And the reason I put this one here is because we were driving through Glendale and I saw the pole banner, said something about an apple festival. But if you go to Julian, that's what they're about, apple pie. And you know what? You know, there's the Cedar Mill, Nuts and Honey. You know, they sell apple pie. I mean, Julian Cafe and Bakery, they sell apple pie. It's all about apple pie. It works. So for Orderville, for Glendale, you just need to be known for something and then say, how can we make it grow? I noticed Glendale, I read somewhere that you could even go pick your own. For a lot of people, that'd be a cool experience from the urban areas. You know, I mean, we could keep going. Jackson, Wyoming. How many of you have been to Jackson Hole? It's actually, the name of town is actually Jackson. But Jackson Hole, gateway to Grand Teton National Park. You know what the problem with that? Gateway is something you pass through to go somewhere else. You do not want to be a gateway. Okay? Home of Western living, Western art. We actually helped orchestrate this. This would be a good one for Kanab. When we went to Jackson, they said, can you help us out? We have our town square right there. My job was to work on these 4 blocks, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks, but this one side, and reorchestrate the business mix. By the way, this is now on YouTube and it's viral. And we had to orchestrate the business mix because they wanted to be Old West. Well, you know what? There's 70 Old West cities and towns, and most of them are struggling. I mean, 10 years ago, Tombstone, Arizona filed for bankruptcy. And they're working through that. They said, we want to be home. We have the oldest playhouse in Wyoming. I said, well, how often does that operate? And they goes, well, we do 2 shows a year, and each one lasts 2 weekends. I go, not enough. You know, and so they orchestrated on first floor. It is all Western art, Western living, Native American arts, you name it. They orchestrated the business mix. And this is what you see now. If you go there, Jackson Hole Live webcams, I mean, millions of people are going out. Now you have people coming from across the United States going out, they stand in the intersection and do funny things just to be on video. But you know what? In the old days, they were running at 40% vacancy rates in the commercial buildings, and it was $1 per square foot per year. No, per month. So like $10 a square foot per year. Now they're getting $150 per square foot. And if you want to buy any real estate in Jackson, Wyoming, Home of Western Art, Home of Western Living, 110 Western Living and art shops and galleries there. Remember, population 10,000. You'll pay $2,000 a square foot. One of the top 4 art destinations in North America. I mean, there's no vacancies. And it's a bigger attraction than both Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Park. Now, if you go to West Yellowstone, Montana, and walk in the National Park Visitor Center or the West Yellowstone Visitor Center, the most asked question is, which is the quickest way to Jackson Hole, Wyoming? Well, let's say we'll go down Highway 26 in Utah, in Idaho, right through Rexburg and everything, jump over the Teton Pass, and you'll be there. Well, is there a way we could go and get our picture taken, Old Faithful, then get back here? Because they want to get there. Wouldn't it be cool, particularly for Kanab, if Kanab was the destination and not just the pass through, the pit stop, the hub? Wouldn't that be cool? That should be your goal. We did it in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Great Smoky Mountains gets 13 million visitors a year. What's it home for? Art. So, Highway 89 corridor. Perhaps each town has a different focus. You know, and I kept Glendale Heritage Apple Festival. If you redo these, here's the problem. When is it? If you put dates on there, if you could just say, by the way, when is it?
It changes every year.
Okay, but is it the same?
It's the last weekend of September.
There you go. Just put, well, whatever. So if you put, that we're having a discussion now when it should be. But if you put on the pole banners, last weekend, September, it's an invitation to come back. That's what I want you to do.
I'll do it.
There you go. There's suggestion number 29, solved. So we also saw all the rock shops. We thought, well, maybe if it's not apples, could it be rocks? We saw all the rock shops everywhere. Maybe you're the West Rock County. And then I thought, well, there's probably more of a rock collectors. I'm not sure. We found a rock hounding site, and it didn't show any areas over here. But so whatever it is, we thought, well, could you take that and leverage it? You know, the challenge we had, well, how does that work for Maynard-Dixon and the fine art? How does that work with food? You know, and so, but find something. And Orderville does not need to be the same as Glendale. One might be apples and one might be quilting. Who knows? Find a focus. Kanab, for the love of animals. You know what? Best Friends gets 30,000 plus visitors a year. 30,000 that come here for Best Friends. And I thought, could you do that? You know, I think it's Kanab's best visitor attraction. That's in Kanab. And, you know, we went there again, and I got a tour of it with the founders, Francis. And so we went back this time. I had to show Jane, my wife, and we went there and drove through it. I mean, it is so spectacular. I think their mission is great. I kept thinking, if you had this absolute love, there's number one, We couldn't find any branded city in the United States that has taken animals as their brand for the love of animals, domestic and wild, which could include the local residents in the wild side. No, I'm just kidding. Sure.
That's Texas right there.
Texas? In one of the movies? I know it was. Yeah. Oh, Outlaw Josie Wales. Cool. Yeah, I knew a lot of movies had been shot there.
Taken up from the ridge where the
Well, I took it from the cafe. Yeah.
It's very close to where Ohio Silver is.
Oh, yeah.
You know, movie thing.
Yeah. And by the way, I think remember I said, I don't know that little Hollywood could be your brand. I still think it's a very, very important part of your history and still cool. But, you know, and so, I mean, it's a stunning place. They do a great job. I mean, I love the fact, I thought this was the nicest building in town. I love the stone, and I thought it was great with the benches, and I did a good job. And then Matt said, oh yeah, that's my building, so he can pay me later, Matt. No, anyway, it's really great. I'm glad to see them have a presence there. And I thought, it can't be just best friends if you want to go this route. You know, could you put a dog park downtown? Could you do doggy dishes outside your shops and restaurants? Could you do off-leash areas? If there are any, we couldn't find them. Could you have a wildlife rehabilitation center that has nothing to do with best friends in your downtown? And let me show you an example. Could you do a desert wildlife center? You know, I even thought, you know, when you come here, wouldn't it be cool if there was a sign that said pets are welcome? See what I mean? So you could do this. However, when we were driving around in Kanab, it is like, no dogs allowed in this park. And about a block away, it says dogs on leashes except where posted. We never could find any place where it's posted that they could be off leash. So once again, you got to be all in or all out. But there's a cool place. This is the High Desert Museum near Bend, Oregon. One of the most visited tourist attractions in the entire state. It's fantastic. What I remember most is not the history. What I remember the most is them putting meat on a pole over there. And then a guy came out with a hawk and another person came out with an eagle. Now these are eagles that have been rehabilitated that can't be released back into the wild. So I want to make that clear for all the people that say captive, you know. And they would say go, and he would just release them and he would go get that meat and bring it back. And everybody in the audience would go, whoa. I mean, you're this close to an eagle. Or a hawk or a falcon. Doing those kinds of things in Kanab that wouldn't be part of Best Friends, but could be similar. I mean, another one is the Sonora Desert Museum near Tucson. If you ever get a chance, go look at these places. And some people say, yeah, but that's more like a zoo. But they have a reptile, fish, aquatic life. And some people may say they might call me a heretic. I'll go back to the quilting. But sometimes seeing a baby bison, I'm not saying in captivity, but being there and seeing that is pretty cool. It's one thing I love about Zion Mountain Ranch, seeing the bison there. You know, for you, you're going, yeah. Now they're considered livestock, you know, but for visitors, it's still cool. But even doing an aquarium that had indigenous species, I'm just trying to think of what could you do in Kanab that could be for the love of animals. And by the way, this place gets 400,000 visitors a year near Tucson. Rated one of the top museums in the United States, the Arizona Sonora Desert. Kanab, the hub for Southern Utah. This is where, when I was working with Matt, we've been working with the people in Kanab in this area for a couple of years. And being the hub, I have a problem with it. And I'll tell you why. Is when people travel, they will go places where there's activities that take 4 times longer than it took them to drive there. So if you send me an hour away, is there 4 hours worth of activities that cater to me? Right? That's why movie theaters are always a half hour, generally a half hour away from the population center. 4 times half an hour is 2 hours, the length of a movie. 4 times rule. I'll bet, where's the nearest Walmart? Cedar City? St. George. Hurricane. Let's do a hurricane. Hurricane is how far a drive? Hour. So, would you say, okay, I have to pick up a prescription in Hurricane. I can't get here locally, which is not true, but I'm just making that up. Would you say, okay, we're going to drive to Hurricane in an hour, and we're just going to pick up a prescription and drive back? Or would you say, while I'm there, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, right? That's exactly the way visitors are, 4 times. Take a look at this little clip from the movie Vacation.
Despite all the little problems, it really is fun, isn't it?
You can tell what kind of movies I like.
But every new day there's special.
Hey, easy, kids, come on, cut it out. Everybody in the car, hold please in 2 minutes.
Or perhaps you don't want to see the second largest ball of twine on the face of the earth, which is only 4 short hours away.
So would you drive 4 short hours, see the second largest ball of twine, turn around and go all the way back? No. Doesn't fit the 4 times rule. This is why the average stay in Hawaii, the average stay in the Caribbean, the average is 6 nights. The average stay at Disneyland is 3 nights. The average stay in Orlando is 4 nights. You know what? When it comes to tourism, it's not about how many visitors you get. It's how long you get them to stay. That, I'd love to see you do what Ashland, Oregon does, home of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. 400,000 visitors a year. Guess what? That's it, 400,000. Not millions like you have passing through. The average stay is 3 nights, and 88% come back every year or every other year. I'd rather have you have half the visitors staying twice as long. By the way, an overnight visitor spends 4 times more than a day visitor. 4 times. So the more you have to offer collectively, the further people come, the longer they will stay. But it's absolutely okay that East Zion is different than Springdale. East Zion would be different than the 89 corridor, Orderville, Glendale, and Mount Carmel, Kanab. And so a visitor spends 14 hours a day. They spend 4 to 6 hours with the primary activity. How many hours can you go hunting, fishing, snowmobiling, hiking, ATVing? Okay, those guys are really hardcore. But you know what I mean? 4 to 6 hours. And then we spend 8 to 10 hours with complementary activities. Here's your problem. You need to quit marketing things that are more than 45-minute drive each way. Because you know what? Here's the deal. Well, let me look at the list. Lake Powell. That's an hour and a quarter each way. Here's my problem. Okay, why don't you come and stay in Kanab, then drive all the way to Page, and when you're in Page, it'll take 4 hours to go see Antelope Canyon. When you're done, you might want to get out on the lake, and while you're there, you might want to go see Horseshoe Bend and everything. Why would we drive another hour and a quarter back to Kanab, particularly when you're closed at 6 o'clock? I mean, Bryce, 1.5 hours. Grand Canyon, North Rim, 1 hour. I put that in yellow because I think you could do that one. Even though it breaks my 45 minutes, you're the closest place, really, to that. I mean, going to the North Rim to Page is another half hour longer. You could own it. So I'll give you that one. Cedar Breaks, 1.5 hours. But you know what? I can be there from Cedar City in less than half an hour. Well, yeah, it is close to Glendale. I mean, Kodachrome Basin, we didn't even assess it. Even though it's in your county, it's really Penguins. You know what I mean? You have to go way up there 2 hours just to get there. We couldn't do it. Zion, 1 hour, absolutely. And that's from Kanab. I know. Well, Zion, we're giving you. Everything in yellow is yours. You got to market it. Absolutely. Coral Pink Sands, absolutely. Grove's Nerve, I can't even pronounce it, 2.25 hours. White Pocket, 2.5 hours. This is Buckskin Gulch, those 1 hours. All those ones in yellow, absolutely, you need to promote them. Because you have a Zion experience, but your side of Zion is different than the Springdale side. It gives people a perfect choice. So you know what? Dixie, now you say, oh, we're home to Dixie National Forest. It's too big. You can't say, go explore Dixie National Forest. Well, where are we going to go? Where's the trail? You need to narrow it down to a specific trail or specific site. The same with the Grand Staircase. It's not like, oh, it's just go out to Grand Staircase. It's great. We had the same conversation over in Embry County with the San Rafael Swell. Excuse me, sell 2 or 3 things that are on the swell, like the Wedge Overlook. Do 2 or 3 of those and don't just promote this huge geographic region. You know, I mean, that one, we're going to drive through there on our way home today. I mean, yeah, so it's there. You know, you're Vermilion Cliffs, Wilderness area. I mean, some of these are too big. You need to promote the specific activities in them that are so great. And by the way, when it comes to all this branding, finding your focus, there's only 3 killers. Number 1 is local politics. It's worse with membership organizations than it is with elected officials. Lack of champions, lack of money, public and private. By the way, almost all those brands that you were naming, you know, Nashville and everything, built in private sector development. The best brands are built in private sector because you know what? When it's private sector development, you're not subject to the weather. You're not subject to seasons. You're not subject to overcrowding. Because it's private sector, it could be year round. By the way, the reason that lack of champions is yellow, because if you get the right champions, they will find a way to make it happen, and they will never take no for an answer. They'll get through the politics. So here you go. You know, each committee should have its distinct focus. Then we can help you wrap it up and put an umbrella brand over it. You need to find your focus each of your towns. Let me tell you about umbrella brands. Chevrolet. You know what their brand is? Buy American. Taglines, Heartbeat of America, an American Revolution. But they never run ads that say, buy a Chevy, Heartbeat of America. They sell the Corvette to its distinct audience. Middle-aged white guys, really. They sell the Aveo, or no, now it's, I can't remember what the little car is, to people in their 20s that don't have high mileage, first time, inexpensive car. They sell the Impala to families that want a 4-door sedan. They sell to Suburbans to LDS families that need to haul a lot of kids, just kidding. To contractors and big families. But see what I mean? But you know what? They each have their own audience, and then they tag it with Heartbeat of America. That's what you need to do. So Orderville, they say, this is what we want to be known for. Let's start working on it. And then the same thing with Glendale. And the same thing with Mount Carmel. If it really, I didn't say a whole lot other than the junction in tourism. Same with Kanab. Same with East Zion. They're all different products, and we can find a way to help wrap those together. So I want to talk about more. I'm going back to product development. Big red buses. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Glacier National Park. Here's the problem. If you are in Springdale, there's the free shuttle, which I love. By the way, you know what I told them, Springdale? Utah Department of Transportation were going to widen the highway through downtown Springdale, and I went there and said, stop. Do not do that. I want you to narrow the highway. I want you to widen the sidewalks 20 feet wide and cover the moats. That's what I called those ditches. Moats. Okay? Yeah, they're historic. But I said, I want you to make it pedestrian friendly. And then, and you know what? They're going to do it. And put parking structures at each end. Back by where Town Hall is over in Springdale and down at the other end. So that people be encouraged to get out of their cars and take the shuttles there every 10, 15 minutes. So that, they got that. But then they run, there's the parking garage might be there, another one there. And then there's the National Park Shuttle, which takes you up to the junction. And yes, you can go all the way up by the Narrows. But the problem is you've got the tunnel, as you all know. I'm preaching to the choir here, which every time there's a bus, they shut it down. We wait in line. I've been through there many times. And this is the challenge. So in Glacier National Park, they have 33 buses. They're operated by Xanterra Parks, which is a national vendor to all the national parks. 33 of them. Aren't they cool? By the way, built between 1936 and 1939, they each hold 17 passages, tours, 4 to 8 hours, $40 to $90 per person. They pretty much sell out. You're absolutely right. There you go. Love it. By the way, you know what? You could do a really cool retro theme. You could do it like a 1950s. Yeah, that could be really cool. Happy Days. You know what I mean? That might be an idea. You know, do the old diners, the old stuff. Anyway, so back to the red buses. And you know what? They leave from both the west and east sides of the park. They run mid-June through September. This is Glacier. This is Glacier. So they get a lot more snow. Look at the value of each bus is now $250,000. By the way, it has a vinyl top that rolls back. 80% of people ride the bus give it excellent reviews. Not just very good, excellent. They haul 60,000 passengers a year. That reduces the number of vehicles through the park by 20,000 just during those few months. So, Zion looks totally different when you come from west to east than it does when you go east to west. By doing this, you get to go both ways. They can start here, they can start there. There is just no, this, and by the way, the number one reason people go to Zion National Park is not for Zion National Park, it's to ride the big red buses. Or at least see them. Look at that's photographed as much as the scenery. And so, we just thought, if you could put a parking structure down here and encourage people to do that, because we don't believe the answer is to create a national park reservation system, which they're talking about, to handle the influx. I think that's the wrong answer personally. And to tell visitors to stay away, which they're starting to do. Oh my gosh, I'm going, and so, but find ways to make the experience better while they're reducing the traffic. That's privately done. You don't have to say, oh, public, we need to generate all the money and create all these shuttles. Now they said, oh, the park shuttles, the reason they only go to that junction is because they can't make through those ravines. They end up going too slow. Well, yeah, so slow is your best friend when you're coming through that park. I know. So I kept coming back to that this way it gives you the best of both worlds. Choose your base camp. What's that? Apples? Is it rocks? Is it wild and domesticated life? Wild being the local citizens, domesticated being the pets. Just kidding. So product development, that's one. Number two is visitor information. We went to lots of these places like this. And what do we see? 10 p.m., closed for the season. Bad. I don't know how many, I'm not even showing all the photos. There's one. Here's another one. There's another one. We must have seen 30 or 40 of these. There's nothing on them except for stuff that's faded, worn out, and rules and regulations. No visitor information. None. No map, nothing. All you need is a little $10 real estate holder, and you put a guide in it. You're not monetizing your tourism at all. That's the problem. I love this. Wickford, Rhode Island. I think that's pretty cool. This is not that expensive and hard to do. Here's the statistic that's cool. Prior to traveling, the number one thing that's going to get us to come to any of your communities is word of mouth, friends and family. Number two is the internet. Number three is marketing, articles, things they've read. Number four is brochures, 32%, a third of the time. Still important, but not the main thing. But guess what happens once they arrive? While we travel, we use brochures, number one, 81%, even more than the internet, particularly in places where we have no cell service or limited. Okay? 81%. Number two is the internet. Number three is word of mouth. Where's a good place to eat? Please don't hand me a list. Okay? So you need to have visitors. And by the way, visitors don't just travel 8 to 5. And so this is most like, you could do a lot better on the design, but they did a cool thing. Kiwanis built it for them. Kingsport, Tennessee, this is pretty cool. If you want your brochure in there, they charge you like $5 a month, and that $5 a month keeps it stocked, keeps it cleaned, and if there's money left over, they build the next one. We even have we have a whole video library that would give you more, because I don't have time to cover it. One of my favorites is in little Cape May, New Jersey. This is their little downtown, pedestrian friendly. I love this. Look at their kiosk. Welcome friends old and new, linger here a day or two. I'd love to see a couple of those around. And by the way, restaurants, activities, guide services, you name it, it's all right there. Very cool. You could, in Flemington, New Jersey, up the road, this is a little prefab bus stop that came in panels. They put it together, but you know what they did? Instead of making it a bus stop, they made it a visitor information center. We need to have a bunch of these. And by the way, those are freestanding. This is North Platte, Nebraska. They paid $300 to have that one custom made. And it's got the state guide, it's got their local best of brochure, and their local guide here, the state guide there, and their best of. And I'll tell you about that. I mean, you need to have them at all those BLM offices. Kane County Tourism, 4 or 5 downtown in downtown Kanab, 1 Big Water. I'm going to tell you about some of these. I mean, these are just some of the places where you need to have 24-hour brochure distribution. I mean, and I'm not, I think you should even put one down in the Glen Canyon area, which is in Arizona. And Paige may say, well, we don't like this. I said, but I'll tell you what, you put one there for people heading into Utah, and we'll give you one heading out of Utah. I mean, there's no reason why you can't be partners. And visitors could care less about state lines. So, love to see you do that. You know, make a list. Your 4th top priority. There's another one in between. But there's so many of these that are just absolutely wasted. Now, this is a great site. But number 1, it's not perpendicular to the road. I don't know how you change that one. Maybe you just add another one that's on top that just says visitor information. But here's the problem. There's nothing I can take with me. I mean, most people aren't going to read all this and look at all the maps and then go, now what? I need to take it with me. It's a great little place. You know, I want to come back to Maynard-Dixon. So, perfect place for visitor information. It's a great stop. Another one, I'll tell you what happened. We walked into the gift shop, lady behind the counter, 2 of them, and I said, yeah, we're here trying to find your visitor information. Here's what she said. Visitor information is in Kanab. We have no idea why that's on the sign. Says, but however, if you need some questions answered, we probably know more than the people in Kanab. I mean, this is what you're doing to your visitors. This is over there. I mean, most of these are faded. You can't read them. There's really no information. The brochure holders, this one has a little map that's folded over. This one's empty. You know, this one's at Coral Pink Sand Dunes. It's great, but wouldn't it be cool if you could go there and pick up a brochure that says, while you're in the area, guess what? We got some places for you to spend money. Okay, it won't be that crass, but close. Even here, love it. The Visitor Information Center, love it. It's absolutely, we'd love to see a gazebo there in this lawn area so that and something like this. This is in Beatty, Nevada. This is what's really cool. Rotary bought this kit, a gazebo kit, and Kiwanis put together. So it didn't cost the public sector anything. And then they had a local craftsperson build this in the middle. It's got maps of the area, then wrapped all the way around its brochures. Wouldn't that be cool? And so we thought, because here the problem is, I don't know that this visitor information, it looks like magazine stands or newspaper racks. I had no idea that's visitor information. And we're going to, and by the way, Bob, it was easier. What about Bob? Bob is the guy that worked at the visitor center. He was incredible. Just congrats. He was, we peppered him. Yeah, really great. He knew, we had so many questions about the wave and about all this stuff. And he just was so patient with us and went through everything. And he took maps and here's where you drive, here's where because trying to find like Buxton Gulch, good luck finding it when you're going down the freeway at 65 miles an hour. And it's like, there's the guardrail, turn quick. Because there's no signs or anything, and probably rightfully so. But he was excellent. And I was just like, yes. And so, but one of the challenges in here, we have pictures of posters, but we don't know where it was filmed, when it was filmed. I learned more today about what was filmed over there, Outlaw Josie Whale, Best Friends. Here we have posters, but no information. So we have lots of suggestions, and we're hoping we can come back and just sit down with the Kane County Office of Tourism and just go through all this. We really think you're in kind of a makeover situation with your marketing. Big Water, we drove all the way to Big Water 45 minutes, drove all the way there just to check out the visitor center. It looks great. Got out of our car, and then when we walk up to the door, closed. Nothing on the highway that says closed, nothing. And there are other cars pulling in there, getting out, walking up and going. Luckily, the restrooms were open. But the point is, if you had visitor information here outside, it's fine. You're still getting the benefit. I'll bet you this costs probably millions of dollars. Somebody spent a lot of money to build this. And it's closed because they have a staffing shortage. I mean, you know what I would do? Number one call I'd make, and I'm going to make it, Utah Office of Tourism, we got to do something with this. It's the first experience when we come into Utah from Arizona, okay? Unless we come in through Fredonia. But if we come up 89. Number two, maybe you say, you know, Paige, why don't you have a staff person there 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and we'll provide a staff person there 3 days a week. Maybe you do a cooperative. You both benefit depending on which way they're going. But I thought that was a shame. And what was really funny is you spent millions of dollars building this, and they must have ran out of money because the pavement stops right there and the rest of it's all gravel. Why don't you just finish the job? So down the road, here's another one. It closed the day we were there. But thank goodness they were there until November 15th. If you guys are going to be seasonal, make November 15th your cutoff then. Quit doing it some on Memorial Day, some in middle October, some at the end of October, some at the beginning of November. Because you know what we're going to do? We're just going to come Memorial Day, Labor Day, because it's safe. Pick a date if you're going to be closed seasonally. But they were closed the day we're there. They do have this right there. It would be great if there was brochure distribution. And they actually had, I think, a grand staircase brochure. So we did decide to try to find where this is. And so we went, coming back, we tried to find it. We're on the navigation system. We did turn off right there, and we pull in. And this, by the way, is about 4 or 5 inches deep. And I don't know what this is called, but I thought that was great because there's this is all worn away down here. There's another one behind me when I took this picture. And what's really cool is there's a sign right down there. Yeah, you can see it's pretty rough. And then when you go down there, it says road damage. And I think you need to put that closer to the highway. And so you pull down there, and there is this. Oh, this is where we found the grand staircase brochure. But nothing about spending any money in Kanab. You know, and so another place, right here. Institution, Jenny's Wigwam. Love to see brochure distribution there. I mean, you have a rodeo grounds. I think it's rodeo grounds. I don't know what you call it, arena, whatever, which we found by accident. Beautiful views from over there. Oh my gosh. It's like the county's over there. We're over here. You know, and we did go there. This is where you get your lottery tickets for the wave. And by the way, they do a good job. They have a good displays in there. Very, very good. But they do have information outside. But once again, there's no brochure distribution. Every day they go out there and tell you what to expect weather-wise and everything. Because some of these places, when it rains, impassable. And then they even tell you in the door about the wave lottery, which is good. But once again, it'd be great. So now, I want you to put visitor information. What are you going to put out there? A couple of things I want you to do. Number one is I want you to create a brochure that is the very best of Kanab and East Zion National Park. Always promote your anchor tenants. And I forgot to bring one of these, Alpena, Michigan, population 10,000. What they did is they found their top restaurants, their top activities, their top retail shops. And they had, I'll even going to give you the criteria they used. And each one paid $400 for their panel. It's a public-private partnership. Always promote your very best ofs. We do not want a list of restaurants. We want to know which ones you would eat at. And so that is what you need to do. And so everyone did this. You know what they did with this? Population 10,000. They printed 20,000. They mailed one to every single household. Mailed, snail mail. In a regular envelope with a little card, and here's what the card said. The number one reason people travel is to visit friends and family. We would hope that you will hang on to this brochure so that when friends and family visit you, you will share with them the very best of what Kanab area and East Zion National Park have to offer. Because we believe that every dining room table should be a concierge desk. Within days, people would come downtown without friends and family and open up brochures and say, how long have you been here? And the mercer would go, 10 years. It worked. Criteria. They must or should have good curb appeal. They must be open year-round. I mean, you know what? You could make your own rules. I'm just telling you what they used. They must be open until at least 7 o'clock p.m. They must be open 6 days a week. They could be closed on Mondays. Okay, in Utah, we may have a challenge with that. But at least have some criteria. No chains. I mean, we're not going to go 45. These are all things that you would go out of your way for. Must be highly regarded by somebody other than themselves. So, we want you to market your top 6 restaurants, your top 6 galleries, maybe your top dozen attractions, all within a 45-minute drive. And you know what? We're going to start the list for you right now. Get politics out of it. Very best. Maynard-Dixon Gallery and Home. Absolutely world class. Absolutely. I mean, and Susan's here. We met her when we were there. And by the way, she's quite the accomplished artist herself. But just learning about Maynard-Dixon is fantastic. I mean, these are originals. These are art where you pay $3,000, $6,000, $300,000. You want a Maynard-Dixon, right? Something like that. I mean, this is a place that people come to out of their way for. It is absolutely makes you worth a trip. All by itself. But I imagine that a lot of people cruise right by there because they don't want to stop because of what they see. And they should. Now, I have a couple suggestions. You know, I'm not really too sure where the home is. Is it around this? Is it somewhere? You can't see it from the highway?
You have to check in with us first.
Okay. So what you might do is just put the home and studio, check in at front desk or whatever, make it a little easier. And then other thing, these are just suggestions, is I would put Maynard, in big letters, Maynard-Dixon Fine Art Gallery and Home, because visitors don't care about the Thunderbird Foundation, the Living History Museum. I think you say it all with those. I always focus on the experience, not the organization. Make sense? So just suggestion. Number 2, Forscher. You know what? Love it, Chris. You know, I mean, he's a Dane that opened a German bakery. And you know what? There are many times when I've been working somewhere, I'll work in Cedar City. As a matter of fact, I was with Jane and we did this. I said, we left there like at 11 in the morning. We waited. We could have eaten at 50 other restaurants, but we got there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon because we had to eat at Forscher. I had to. It's that good. I mean, it is the one place that is just packed. And I love it. I love the people there and everything. I mean, they just have a great attitude. I love that place. Absolutely best of. It's been written up in Salt Lake Magazine. Plus, the guy is a master at advertising. I don't know how many billboards I saw over on 15 promoting this. And so, absolutely best of. Coral Pink Sands, absolutely stunning. We got there around sunset. By the way, when you do photography, always show people because it gives you scale. Wow. Really an incredible place. And by the way, when you do your photography, don't just show the photography, show where people stand so they get to see the experience they would experience. You don't need to show the scenery because we'll see it ourselves when we get there. Just phenomenal. I mean, what was amazing, I thought, okay, I want to walk out in the sand. I mean, my foot's under there somewhere. I mean, that sand is so fine. You just got to go there just to feel it. In Texas, they would call that sugar sand. But it is really cool. And by the way, middle of November, middle of the week, every single vehicle was from out of Utah. 5 vehicles, 5 different states. Visitors are still here. Next one, Sago Restaurant. Absolutely fantastic. Okay? Really great. I mean, it's like, holy smokes, this is in Kanab? I mean, it's kind of a tapas style. You go in there. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, it was hard to believe that was even in Kanab. But absolutely, you got to do it. Quite the experience. Okay? Best friends, absolutely. I borrowed this photo, but it's a wonderful place. I think their mission is incredible. I think every place has got to go do one of their tours. I would like to see there be more. I wish there was a deal where you could go there and just volunteer for 2 or 3 hours so that you could bring kids and grandkids. And I know it'd be a nightmare to manage and everything, but they do the tours. But beyond that, I'm not even sure what they do there for a day visitor. I'm sure there are things. So those are good. Okay, so there's things I didn't really know. So these are things that need to come out. Tell us more besides tours, because we see tours everywhere. Okay, the Rocking V, absolutely great. We had dinner there on Monday. Oh, did I take a picture of Sago? Sorry. Okay, here we go. There you go, Rocking V from the outside. Sorry about that. Now, we ate there on, where is he? Sago. There you go. You're closed on Tuesday and Wednesday, right? Okay, so we had dinner there on Monday. The reason you don't have a picture of the interior, and the other one, by the way, I borrowed from Google Images or whatever of Sago, but place was absolutely packed. Every table was full. This is November. Your museums are closed. I mean, shame, perfect timing, shame on the Perry Lodge for being closed. But absolutely really great. Good service, good food, perfect. Denny's Wigwam, it's an institution. I think it's a great store. It's fun. It's a little eclectic. I love what they've done here. Got to add that. Peekaboo Canyon, absolutely. There's a lot of people that come here with best friends that are vegan. This is the place you can go. Great, incredible setting, by the way. I just think they've done a masterful job. However, you can't read this during the day, at night, anytime. I would probably pick one of these gold colors and redo the lettering. We noticed that even out at Zion Mountain, same thing, the letters hard to see. But absolutely great. Escobar's. And you know what? That place, we ate there on Wednesday night, and we walked in. We had to wait 20 minutes because outside was a tour bus full of Japanese tourists. And I think the tour bus goes to like 3 restaurants, dropped 20 off at this restaurant. They all got in there and they sat down on a big table. And after about 15 minutes, we got a table. And I'm telling you, she is a kick. It's worth going there just for her. And by the way, I told her what was amazing, they had to wait on 20 people all at once at one table, plus us. They were on it. We got our order. We got our food in like 10 or 15 minutes. I was shocked. I told her, said, I don't know how you guys orchestrated this. Amazing. And of course, she slave drives her husband back there, That's the way it always works, isn't it? But she says, what we do is we prepare a lot of things, especially dishes. If we know in advance, we'll get them. I mean, it's just awesome. Now, so it doesn't mean that your best of always has to be the ultimate Sago fine dining. Because Escobar's, it's about the people. And it's authentic. It was great. And there's all the Japanese people there. I mean, and they were bringing out the food. It was amazing just to watch. And it's their family. Come to the office, please. See, they want them right now. Escobar's bring the food to the office. And so, Buckskin Gulch, the Wave, I think they're incredible. I noticed they're not on the map, but probably rightfully so people know they have to go get a permit. But I mean, these things are just world class. And we're going to come back just to do these. And it was cool to find out that you can go online and I can book my day going through there 4 months in advance, and I just have to show up, so I don't have to go wait in line. By the way, I asked them, so today in November, in the middle of the week, can I just walk in? I'll be one of the 10 people.
Good luck today.
You're welcome. And he said, oh, no, no, no. This time of year in the morning at 8:30, 8:45, whatever, so we might have 100 people out there. Quit being a seasonal destination, you guys. You're blowing it. You're blowing tens of millions of dollars. So Grand Canyon National Park, North Rim, you should own it. And by the way, we live in Arizona. We like the North Rim better than the South Rim. Really? It's fantastic. Matter of fact, if you want one of those cabins, Jane, remind me, we got to do that. You book them 10 months in advance. We already picked the cabin we want. Right on the cliff, right on the, And so, it's amazing, and you could own it. You're the closest area to that one, even though it's an hour drive each way. And Gallery Row, I just put those Ravens Heart, Gifts of the West. I think it's Legends. I think Gifts of the West has 2. They own both of them. One of the challenges with Ravens Heart is we went there on Monday, and they were open late, but we didn't go in. Then we went there, and we found out that they're closed on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So it was like, and we probably would have bought art. By the way, downtown looks great. These are great shops. By the way, we think you should extend window displays to exterior spaces. You would never put a clothes rack in your window, so you don't put it outside. Make sense? You put displays out there. Extensions of window displays to exterior spaces. Okay? And so I think the pots and everything you've done, I think it's absolutely beautiful. Just great job. So good job. The soda fountain at Kanab Drug. They've done a great job. Normally I would never put a drugstore in there. They've done a great job with the lights outside at night. I think they do a great job. Highly regarded. We did go to Three Bears. Which, is that what it's called? And it was great too. Homemade bread there. We had lunch there. I even thought you could put those together. If you want candy and ice cream, maybe put the two of them together. I would love to see, I think the curb appeal, the way this lights up at night, I just think they did a really good job. I love the stone again. Lighting is awesome. I would love to see these be muralized. You know the Shell station? Man, I'd like to just take that facade, chop it down, take it to my house. The art on that's fantastic. But I just thought you could take some of these bulkheads and really make them beautiful. And marketing materials, so you need the best of. The other thing you need is your own activities guide. Because this is what Bryce Canyon puts out there. And by the way, Bryce Canyon in their marketing, they should not be marketing Garfield County, so you're not going to market Kane County. But you know what? They market Kodachrome, which they probably should. Grand Staircase. They promote the things in your area way better than you do. This is their visitor guide. It is full of fantastic photography. And of course, they're promoting stuff that's out of their 45-minute driving range too. But what's that? Does it? I've said that this is the one for here or the one there? You're doing one here? Yes. Yoo-hoo! Because we got this one. I think it's okay. I don't consider this a great visitor's guide. No offense to the paper. It's got some good articles. We did use it. But it has nothing on what they're doing in Bryce. Look at that. She's got, yay! Good. And so, good, see? So, remember, we didn't talk to anybody first. So, I'm glad you're doing that. And so, I'm trying to get through these, but they do an absolutely excellent job, although I think they reach too far. That is the problem. Everybody in south of Provo promotes all the same stuff, and for a consumer, it makes it really difficult to figure out where to stay and where to go. And so they do a good job. I'm really glad you're doing a standalone one. I hope it's glossy like this. This one, by the way, is about this size, so it's not newsprint, which is great. And so that's what you need to do, just photo heavy. Then they get into, a lot of these other things. And so anyway, that's the two pieces you need. The very best Kanab and Eastside National Park and your activities guide. Do not call it a visitor's guide. So if it says visitor's guide, change to activities guide. The difference is activities are things to do, guide is lists. And so anyway, they do a good job. So let me just skip over that because it's taken forever to get through those. And because I got to move on because now I lost it. Okay, where was I? Here we go. Okay. So, the very best Kanab is on a bunch of stuff. You may know, by the way, the best stuff, I gave you the list. There may be stuff in there that we didn't see. We didn't have a chance to eat at every restaurant, but you need to vet it. And then, just around the area, some other notes and first impressions as I wind up. Looks nice. This sign is covered. I'm assuming this is a resort or a ranch of some sort? Bed and breakfast? Okay. Is it just seasonal? Is that why the sign's covered? Okay. See, these are the things that there's no reason why you can't be a year-round destination. East Isle Mountain, they're full next week. Thanksgiving week. I mean, so that's that. When is this open? Anybody know? All it says is closed. Rather say closed, hours 10 to 6, and we went there between 10 and 6 and it was still closed. See, it doesn't say seasonal. All of these places that are seasonal need to say open April 15th. Give us a reason to come back. Most of Mount Carmel Junction was not very nicely done. I think they did a nice job doing this. They had benches, beautification, but these just make it look cheap and low quality. Here, they did a good job with all the pots and everything, but the problem is you're only as good as your neighbors. Best bus deals, I just think, and this, I don't know, maybe to everybody local, that's an institution, it's been there. To us, it was just a turnoff. Especially these days. One of the challenges we had at most of your gift shops, it was cheesy, cheap souvenirs. You lift up anything that says made in China. I hope over time, you won't find that stuff in Springdale. It'd be nice to have some quality over here too. By the way, when we talk about visitors, which ones do you want? Do you want to be the budget destination, or do you want to be the one where every visitor spends 4 times more than the budget people? See what I mean? So, this little golf course, I have no idea. Do they allow public play? Okay. Is it 9 holes or 18? Do they have cart and club rentals? Is there a clubhouse? Is there anything? There's no information anywhere. Would love to see, this would be a great little, all full of tables and chairs. And I mean, this is a beautiful mural. This could be a great little gathering place that would get your attention. What's that?
State right away.
Oh, is it state right away? So then I would go to UDOT and say, hey, and by the way, Vicky Varela and the Office of Tourism is doing something really cool. In all 50 states, Department of Transportation they work in their silo, tourism works in their silo, everybody works in silo. They have now forged a really strong partnership so that the Utah Department of Transportation will work with Utah Office of Tourism. So what you do is say, can we get a variance to use that seasonally? And turn it into just kind of a little pocket park during the summer months. I just thought it was really pretty and deserves some beautification. Here's the problem. That was there Sunday night, and it's still there this morning. In most states, Department of Transportation has a person or 2 guys that drive each day to do the route. There's 4 deer between Mount Carmel Junction and Zion Mountain Ranch, and they've been there since Monday, and they're still there. And here you are, a no-kill zone, it was there this morning. And when you're here, and the East Zion area is where we're bringing families. And by the way, the biggest trend in tourism is multi-generational, where grandparents are bringing the kids and grandkids. And you know who's footing the bill? And we're bringing our kids by here. We've just been to Best Friends, and this is what they see 4 times. And we went out to Coral Pink Sands and counted probably 150 mule deer just coming back. And by the way, every night when we met, one good news about this is we never went over the speed limit after dusk. Because we saw them, But I just think it's a shame that there's not a number somebody can call or something somebody could do. Because a week is and we got here Sunday and it was there. I don't know how much before that it was there. And that's 1 of 4. Sorry to show you a gruesome picture, but that's what they see when they drive by. This is really cool. I think this is in Orderville. Neat little log cabin. I don't know if it's historic. I just thought maybe it has a story to tell. You know, the Little Stone Church is going to be beautiful. They've been working really hard on it. I'm not sure what this is, but I hope somebody does something with it. It's a great looking sign. Just need to put something on it. And I don't know what it's for or if it's part of the church. Coming into Kanab, we saw Grand Canyon Expedition. It says information 200 yards. We got us to pull in. We pulled down there, and this is what we saw, and we never did find Grand Canyon Expeditions. I mean, we found this warehouse, and there's a couple semi-trailers parked over here. If it's there, where's a sign? And if you're closed, can you put a visitor information? See what I mean about not connecting the dots? When we see signs like this, we just automatically assume not very good. And it may be awesome. But that's our first impression. And I mean, we did pull in and we said, it looks like it's good. I'd love to see more than one table out there. Oh, we do have one over here. It looks like this could be really cool. I put some plants out there just to soften the facade. But we judge by that. First impressions or lasting impressions, we see, stuff piled out here. I didn't even do the truck, which looks like it's been there for months. Oops. But we judge, and I think you're getting fiber put in, which I think is awesome for the whole area. Looks like a great little RV park. I mean, these are just the high school here. Woohoo! Looks great. And by the way, I'm really impressed. What's the population here in Orderville? 612. And look you have a high school with this. That's pretty cool. We walked in this morning. AV. Oh yeah, I'll get you an XLR cable. Let's get this up. In 5 minutes, we were hooked up. It was like, wow, I love it. Pretty cool stuff for a town of this size. So anyway, remember, we're looking beyond just tourism, place to live. Parkway Motel looks pretty good. They have a water feature out there. It could use some hanging baskets and things. Beautification, curb appeal. We did go down to Fredonia and came up that way. First thing we're greeted with is this, perhaps an Eagle Scout. Somebody needs to redo the sign. It looks like you're good at putting up things and then never taking care of them. And I'm talking about everybody here. Okay? Next, this is great. I actually love a Western classic, but you got to deliver on that promise. Right now, it's not so Western, it's not so classic. And so when we were over there, we saw this building. We didn't know what it was, so we had to go check it out. And we went over there. We said, Kanab has water. I sent that to Jordan in our office, and he goes, I didn't know Kanab had any water. We knew there was a Kanab Creek, but we had no idea this even existed. Now, I don't know, is this an attraction? Can people kayak on it? Can they bird watch on it? This isn't even mentioned on anything that we could find. But we went down there, we drove right up to it, didn't smell or anything. I mean, it seemed to be it's all reclaimed water. There's there's waterfowl in it. You can't see. Who knew? You're sending everybody an hour and a half away, and you have enough here. I can spend a week here and never drive more than 30 minutes and never get it all done. It's only 3 years old. Okay, well, it's cool. I don't know what this is, but they're going to have fantastic views. I just went, wow. Wow. Yeah, I hope you're charging them high rent for that spot. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be awesome. A perfect place for water. And so we did see the airport. And by the way, we love it because they know how to do contrasting letter on their signs. Peekaboo, Sign Mountain. Yeah, and so, by the way, restrooms, visitor information, spotless. Awesome. Great little airport. Yeah. And so we saw a building out there. We drove up to it. And we went, we saw it way off in the distance. We drove up to it. And then I remembered is that I used to work out in Ocean Shores, Washington. And we had this family moved. And I remember her name, Monica Cruteau. Know her? Her husband? So, Tim. And I remember she said, she came into Ocean Shores, this is a long time ago, and she was doing this thing called stamping. scrapbooking, I should say. Scrapbooking with all this, she goes, we have this company. I'm from Kanab. And then all of a sudden, there it is. By the way, Tim sells insurance here. If anybody needs insurance, I'd give you his business card. Good guy, good family. So we were here doing a little speaking engagement in Kanab. When was that, Matt? Last year, year before. And Tim said, I know you. And I hadn't seen him like 15 years. So anyway, downtown Kanab, quickly go through these. Saw this, didn't know whether it was a B&B or a museum. It's got a nice sign, Heritage House. I still don't know whether it's a B&B or a museum. Eventually, we did see a sign out on the highway that said museum this way, and we assumed this is it. It is? There's no sign to say when it's open, no little interpreter that said who owned it, when open. It's a beautiful place. We saw this, have no idea. Does anything ever happen here? When? See, you don't even know. But once again, somebody knows. But it would be cool if you did, it's just signed coming soon or coming this fall or a schedule of events. And there you go. Flat out shame. Flat out shame that that's not open year round. I'm actually appalled coming from the resort industry. So you can tell them I said that. I mean, that what they're doing, the money they're investing there, I think it's just a shame. I'm glad they're doing it. It looks fabulous. And then, of course, my favorite artwork in town. I think that is just absolutely stunning. That's what I like to see painted on these bulkheads and stuff. You got another museum, once again, closed for the season. You have visitors by the thousands in your town. And by the way, getting people stopped is rule number one. If you can get them to spend 2 hours, spending doubles. And now, yeah. So we did go in there. By the way, Jane, my wife, said that had the best cappuccino she's ever had. So, great little place. Theater, I love the theater. I think it's great. I mean, your architecture is kind of all over the place because you've got that, and right next to you got really cool Old West architecture. It's kind of like, okay, why don't you guys decide? And it doesn't mean you have to be gingerbread, but quite frankly, I thought it was kind of cool. I think that's a neat little place. By the way, when you're driving down the sidewalk, driving down the highway, people can't make out pictures. People walking absolutely can. Great little place. Okay? And then orchestrate the business mix. I think this is really critical. Make sure you orchestrate whoever goes in the bookstore, which, by the way, Matt told me, that's my building. So I said, okay, I'm going to hold you to it. And we did eat at Trails Inn, good restaurant. I'm not so sure this gets me in trouble because somebody said, Roger, if you don't make that a best of, the mayor owns it. And I thought it was good, but I didn't know that it was that exceptional, okay? So no offense, because I thought it was a great setting. I love, you've got television in there that show photographs, which is amazing. That alone is worth having a meal there. So we did eat there, great. This here I thought was an eyesore. I was just too much Levi's and pole banners and Converse and it's like, okay, if you, as a Levi, anybody that will give us signs will plaster our building with them. I thought that in a beautiful historic downtown that the signage at this shop, and the shop's fine. I just thought that the signage was way over the top. I mean, you're not trying to be downtown St. George or somewhere. I think you should you have way too many plastic banners plastered all over downtown. I can give you all kinds of sample restrictions where they're allowed 4 times a year, 2 weeks at a time, only for sales and promotions, because there's people who put up plastic banners 2 years later, they're still there. I think it just cheapens. Nature Showcase, I was good. I thought it could use some more greenery, would dress it up. You're coming around the corner, it's the first thing you see. Little Hollywood, I've been really excited to see this. Because I've heard all the stories and everything, got the nice sign right there. This here, I said, wow, this sure is not in keeping with the historic Little Hollywood. And we did walk in there to the entrance, and it was probably the most disappointing thing I've seen in the state of Utah. There's saddles sitting on a fence that are totally rotted. Nobody cares. It doesn't look like anybody cares. There's some signs that are, you saw the picture I showed earlier where this fell out and the nails are sticking up. You have people working inside. I don't think they just said, oh, it's out there. I mean, it doesn't look like anybody cares at all about this. We were very, very disappointed that this is how you pay homage to your movie history. It's sad. I don't know what to say about it. I just thought, the facades are falling down. Some of them don't tell anything. It's just a bunch of stuff.
Well, they need to promote it more, but those buildings right there, those are the original buildings. Again, that's Texas also.
But the problem is it doesn't say it. It just says Little Hollywood. And it's cool because you can walk on it and see how it's made and everything, which is really cool. But they don't explain anything. There's just nothing. It's just stuff. And you walk inside and they got mannequins where the hands are all broken off and everything. It looks worse than the deer, And, it's just like, do they ever even step out here? I think it's a wasted opportunity. Across the street, you can see stuff's going on over here. They're working on it. Once again, this would be fantastic murals. It says it's open, but is it really? It doesn't look like there's any business in there. So just go in there and turn the sign around. Because otherwise, we're going to go to a store that is open and say it probably isn't. We did push this button. And by the way, we pushed it. And apparently there star parties now.
Yes.
There are every night, every Friday night or whatever it says.
Whenever you want, yes.
Okay, one thing is, I hope you do dark skies here. Because I love, dark sky places are great. I love the lights that you have on your sidewalks where they're built in. With lights, you should never see the light. You should just see what's lit up. And so, but I thought this was really cool. However, it gives you a phone number to call. I think it would be better if you had a QR code where people could just do that and it pulls up a web page and tells you when. Most people are not going to call. And by the way, I had better Wi-Fi service in your downtown than I had cell service. But giving people phone numbers these days is not really going to be. First of all, I have to pull out a pen and paper really quick and replay it, and then replay it twice to write down the phone number to call. If you just put a QR code there, I love the voice though. I think it's cool that you're doing that. And then a QR code will just tell you here's where and when we meet. Easy to do. Love this. Now, is this still happening every Friday? Is it happening this Friday? Tonight? Okay, so take them down. Put what the season is. Once again, invite us back. You can say every summer between June and October, whatever it is, invite us back. Because if we would have stuck around tonight, went over to Denny's Wigwam, and then went, oh, sorry, that ended a month ago, you're just disappointed. So, low quality, struggling businesses, lack of quality control, not living up to its potential by a long shot. That's our overall assessment. So, looks like a great water feature. Nice. Yeah, here we go. Woohoo! And by the way, I would just take down the words golf because this really gives new meaning to playing in the rough. But if you took the words golf off of that building, we would just see this as pretty greenbelt area. See what I mean? Instead, what we see is a failed development. And those are the things you need to do. Now, we're driving around. We found places that visitors never find. You have a great hospital. By the way, Camille, who runs your tourism, she isn't here today because she's been in the hospital the last couple of days. So just so you know, she's been in Europe and everything, and she came down with whatever, and she's really ill. So anyway, great hospital, looks great. Your library looks fantastic. All of a sudden we're going, wow, where did this side of Kanab come from? And then we're back there, we see the tennis courts next to it. We see I think this whole thing is the aquatic center or whatever it is. Looks great, a great park, except for dogs are not allowed. I don't know this looks like. Is it going to be a skate park? looks awesome. I would do signs that say coming soon and show a picture, a rendering on it. 4x8 sheet of plywood coming soon. Those are ways to invite people back and say, wow, this looks like a great place to live. I don't know what's going to happen up here, but there's lots of stuff going on. And so here's my deal. Tourism is your economic driver. It's been that way pretty much since day one. Way back when Brigham Young first came down here and set up Orderville, tourism has always been your draw. And it's a means to an end. You know what tourism is about? When you go to St. George to do your major shopping, that's leakage. If you leak out more than you bring in, you die as a community or as a county. Tourism helps fill that gap. It's a means to an end. I hate to be that crass. It's about cash. And you're not getting it. They're driving through and they're not getting the spending. And so it's a means to an end to improve the quality of life for citizens. That's what it's about, tax base. And I love the tour. My whole life has been in the tourism industry. But you know what? Don't ignore your economic engine. It looks like we are really great at building great things for our citizens, which is absolutely what you want to do. But then your engine that drives all the money to do that is pretty much ignored, is what it looks like. No rules, no regulations. You could do whatever you want. It's a hodgepodge. There's no real focus. That's what it looks like. I'm probably wrong, but that's what it looks like. We saw the trails when they're there. It'd be great. We didn't know what the name of the trail was, but then we saw it. It's the Squaw Trail. And I have a feeling that's all under construction. Is that right? I think it's being done. And so it's not a fault. We did see a trail there. I'd love to know where it goes, what the difficulty level is. Somebody said if you climb up to the top, it's fantastic. And then over here, I don't know what's being built over there, but it looks like it could be cool. I kept thinking, ooh, that looks like it could be what's the theater over there near St. George out there? Tuacahn. I thought, woo, maybe. And I don't know what you're doing there. But what is it? Retention pond. Oh, it's going to be a retention pond. Okay, well, that's whatever. That's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so that's, and by the way, saw these trails. Your trail system looks great. So I want to talk about downtowns just for a minute, and I'm going to go pretty fast here. Is the number one activity of visitors in the world, shopping, dining, entertainment, pedestrian-friendly setting, and that is where 80% of their non-lodging spending takes place. That's the missing ingredient. You've got it like 2 blocks. That's it. You're missing the 80%. That's why they put downtown, I took that slide from somewhere. That's why they put downtown Disney outside each parks, to get that 80%. Tourism is economic development. It is the front door to your non-tourism economic development. You know what site selectors do? They look at your downtown, and the health of your downtown economically is the health of the community to them. Okay? Downtowns and tourism need to be joined at the hip. They're critical to your success. The heart and soul of any community besides people is its downtown. Now, you may say, well, gee whiz, in Orderville, Glendale, some of our smaller communities, we don't really have an organized downtown. It doesn't matter. We come down Main Street like we did today. What's it like? What's the feeling like? It doesn't have to be a big downtown. And by the way, if you don't hang out in your own community, neither will visitors. And we talked to too many people in Kanab that said, where do you go to hang out? And they said, St. George, Cedar City. Brian had. They didn't mention any town around here. You got to bring it to life. And by the way, downtowns are back, and in a big way. And because we're moving into the age of third places. First place, the place we live, is our home. The second place is where we work. The third place is where we go to hang out. Starbucks built an entire brand around creating third places. And by the way, within a 10-mile radius of right downtown, you have 6,500 people living. I could care less about what's in your town limits, city limits. This is Kanab, right downtown Kanab. Within 20 miles, 7,900. You go out 25 miles, you have 10,800 people. There's your immediate access. Are you getting the 10,800 people spend more time and more money here? And by the way, it does go down to Arizona, Fredonia, a little bit, Kanab, but you could see, it's almost Colorado City. It has its own brand. Yeah, see, I don't even have to mention it. Number 5, downtowns are where we go after working on weekends. The peak hours for downtown are 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, and you're closed. Okay? Number 6, in economic development, community development, there's absolutely positively stole those from FedEx. Nothing that's more important than your downtown, particularly for Kanab, and it's what's in the buildings more than beautification. So the one thing you need is a central gathering spot. And I'm going to give you one example. This is Rapid City. Yes, 10 times bigger than you, but it is an exact parallel for you. The challenge is they wanted to increase spending. I called them the hole in the middle of the donut. I could call you the hole in the middle of the donut. Because people stay in Rapid City, you have all these hotels and not the retail to back it up. In Rapid City, they stay there, just like here. They get up in the morning, they drive to Mount Rushmore. They drive to the Pinnacles. They drive to Badlands. They drive to Custer State Park. They drive to the historic town of Deadwood. They drive to Sturgis, the greatest motorcycle rally on the planet. They drive to Badlands National Park, through the Black Hills. They might even go up to Devil's Tower. They might go into Keystone, which is really close to there. They might go into Hill City, which is a great little art town. But this is what they do, and this is what they're doing in Kanab. I could have done this very same thing for you. And so this is what they do. And then what happens is they go out and do all that stuff, all within a 45-minute drive. And even these things are not in their downtown, neither is that. And in the middle of the summer, when people are spending the most money, downtown, other than local cars, was pretty much empty. This is 4th of July weekend. I can count the locals, about 6 of them. I mean, it was dead. They put up presidents all over, Mount Rushmore. But they're static. Once you go find your favorite president and you go get your picture taken with them, you've been there, done that. And so we said, we want you to take a parking lot right in the middle of your downtown, and we want you to build a plaza. This is it. It's 1 acre. Matter of fact, this was an empty Sears building. We said, tear down that Sears building, make it a 2-acre plaza. Get rid of the parking. Don't even make up the parking. Can you imagine what was said? And so there it is. We said, could you add a 3rd story in the parking garage? And the only reason for doing that is so we could put retail restrooms and stuff on the bottom floor of the parking garage. I got a call from a guy. He said, Roger, my name is Ray Hillebrand. We're not tearing down the Sears building. I just bought it. But I gave the city $2 million to build the plaza right next to my new building. He has the most valuable building in Rapid City, and people pay twice as much to be in there because it's where people hang out. There it is, under construction. There it is. This is all full of restaurants and retail shops. There's that parking lot. And you know what? It worked. All of a sudden, car shows started coming. You want to take those classic cars? Invite car shows, Harley shows, Gold Wings associations. All of a sudden, because they had this Main Street Square, all these things light up at night. They even put a beer garden out there for this big event that you could see out there in the background. I mean, it just, all of a sudden, the locals started hanging out there. They shut off, there's a water splash pad right there. They shut it off because during this event, they had the police, they had the police doing they're showing how they train their dogs. But they can turn on that water feature, which they wish was 3 times bigger. And you know what happened? The average age of a person buying a home in Rapid City dropped 12 years. The young people were coming back. And by the way, if you build a plaza, it must be programmed 250 days a year. So what do? For 120 days of the year, this splash pad is working. And during the winter, I'll show you that in a minute. Here it is during the summer, 120 days a year. They make $130,000 a year just renting ice skates, and they have to dole them out because it gets too busy. This can work in a town of 5,000 as much as it can work in a city of 70,000. Ice, 120 days a year. Splash pad, 120. There's 240 days a year activity in your downtown. And guess what? It's where the locals come first and us visitors will follow because we like hanging out with you locals. True. I mean, that goes every night, music and lights, all LED. I love the square. Someone who works downtown, I've seen the differences made. I'm not even get, and she goes, I love seeing my friends, colleagues, everybody from the mayor to my hairdresser hanging around downtown, which I never saw before. I only had it at summer nights. Somebody posted this. This is movies on the square every Monday night. Average attendance, 3,500. Wouldn't it be cool if every Monday night during the summer you showed old westerns on your plaza? I grew up in Rapid City. It was never as cool as it is now. We want your youth to say that about you. Look at that. Yeah. Downtown businesses, they complained. I said, give me the 25 businesses that complain the most. And they did. They gave me a list of them. I went into them like this is a year after it was built. They didn't know who I was, even though it was, we came with the idea. They had to do all the heavy lifting. And I said, I walk in and say, are you the owner or manager? And out of the 25 businesses, 14 of them, I talked to the owner. And I would go, that plaza over there, does that really help your business at all? Because these people said, if you take away the parking, you're going to kill my business. If you close the street off, you're going to kill all these things were totally untrue. You're going to drain people out of my business and they're not going to be in my business. Here's what they all said. Best thing Rapid City has ever done. No retail vacancies, lower turnover, business open later in the evening, retailers continue to break sales records, the average age population is dropping, and it's a great place for conferences, conventions, trade shows, reunions, you name it. It is the central gathering place. It's a year-round activity center, interactive water feature, ice, program at least 250 days a year. I know this week you were in the 70s. This morning it was different. But you know what? Their weather is not much different than yours. This is not North Dakota. And, just designed one. They're getting ready to build this in Caldwell, Idaho. If you ever go up there. The city bought this. They tore down this building. They built this Indian Creek Park, but it wasn't activity. So this is all, they're going to close off this street. So these buildings here will be sitting right on their square. Wouldn't it be cool if you had something like that in downtown Kanab? Wouldn't it be cool? Alive with music, storytellers, fire pits. Old movies. Yoga in the mornings for all these people staying at hotels and your locals. The Taste of Southern Utah, Northern Arizona events. So we even named it for you. Kanab's Best Friends Plaza. So there's the naming rights. I'm sure they'll give you $2 million just to get this thing going. Just kidding. Do we have people from Best Friends here? Okay. And so I just, Best Friends Plaza. That would be cool for animals and people. So there you go. Naming rights. Okay. So I thought, we got this great little cafe here. I know this is Main Street, but really Main Street, there's not much on it on the south side. Churches and sub post office, but we can get those blocks all easy to get to. So what if these were full of restaurants? What if this actually opened out onto a plaza? What if this was all plaza and this all opened out? There'd be tables and chairs and activity. What if that plaza looked like that? So, I've got more. But what if? All these little yellow things are Catalina umbrellas, by the way. So those would be umbrellas. These would all be seating for restaurants and stuff. These white squares would be like vendor booths. Just to show you that this might be that little sunken amphitheater. There's your stage. By the way, stage always has to have the sun shining on the stage, not the audience. So I had to put the stage on the street, backing to the street. But you could show movies there. And this might be sunken down, just this far. So that even during the day, when there's kids playing the fountain, somebody should still go grab lunch. They could sit on the steps. And by having that sunk down 18 inches or so, you know what it does? It creates a fence without a fence. And so you have a splash pad in there. So and by the way, this is not a record, it's a roundabout. So if we come to the post office, you could come back out. So easy access in and out. And then street trees. You already have a lot of street trees, we just filled them in. You can put some street trees on the square. One idea. Okay, next one. I hate see you in March. Aikens Lodge. And by the way, I'm not in the business of here taking out businesses. So, and I don't know what the fate of Aikens Lodge is, but I just looked at sites and I went, oh my gosh, what could you do here? And so I thought, man, if you could even open this up, just get rid of this part it, maybe that whole wing, so it would open up more of your main drag. So here's another idea. So we did take out this wing, but I thought, what if these are all neat little retail shops? You know, a little ice cream shop, a little bookstore, neat little things in this part of the hotel. The pool would be gone and everything. But once again, you could have all kinds of vendor booths here, all kinds of dining. If you could open this up, you could even build a building here. Here's a chance for somebody to actually develop something. And so these could all be restaurants. You could have all this open. I mean, that's another idea. We didn't close off any streets there. I just want you to think about things you could do. Another one. Here's another one. I thought, man, one of the problems you have is you have pavement right up to buildings. You don't have any buffers or anything. Way too much pavement for one of the most scenic areas on the planet. And so I thought, what if you took this? You know, what if this turned into that? I mean, you'd have, you know, this is like 10,000 square feet. You'd have restaurants and tables and chairs and vendor booths. And I mean, this could be an awesome plaza. You come right around the corner and boom. Welcome to Kanab. Even here, I kept going, okay, Wigwam, yeah, okay. Can you imagine that? I just went, oh my gosh. We'd have to work on the parking. But I just thought, so I'm just giving you ideas. And so if you can do that, the deal is commerce on the plaza. And so I just gave you 4 ideas. I just want you to start thinking about that, the gathering area. This is for the 10,000 people that live within 25 miles, and visitors will follow. This is for you as locals. It is as big or bigger than your aquatic center, your skate park, all those things that are awesome. This is the thing that monetizes and builds your tax base. This is an investment, not an expense. So you need to do a downtown development plan. Just figure it out. And if you've done one, then let me see it. I mean, remember, we have not talked to you. What does it look like? Because here's what you need if you want to win. This is called the 10-10-10 rule. I promise I'm almost done. Here's what you need. If you want to get that 80% for tourism and you want to get those 10,000 people spending more time and more money in 3 lineal blocks, not square blocks, you need at least 10 places to sell food. You may have like 5 within 3 blocks. Lineal blocks. 5. Close. You need 10 places that are destination retail shops. So I'm not talking H&R Block, insurance agents. I'm talking destination retail. And at least 10 of those 20 open after 6. They would have consistent hours. They'd be open in the evenings. They would have like businesses grouped together. We call that clustering. Springdale is the absolute perfect example of it. Anchors, anchor tenants, those places, those restaurants that we'll go out of our way for. It's a central gathering place. Antique malls. They do 10 times the business when they're together. I mean, I can do auto malls. Why does Chevy want to be right next to Toyota Subaru? Because they do 7 times the business when they're grouped together. Same with all these things. I mean, food courts, you name it. Sometimes you have to orchestrate the effort, and you have to work with the property owners. That's what we did in Jackson, Wyoming. We orchestrated the business mix. Here you go. Most important thing I'm going to leave you with. 70% comes from curb appeal, number 1. Here's the most important one. Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. I'm waiting. Oh, come on. Usually there's a guy in the audience that says, that's all? But that is absolutely true. And women want to go in places they feel safe. And driving up and down 89, you do not feel safe. Because of the way it looks. Okay? But I want you to take a look at this next picture, which was not posed. What do you see? The women shopping and the men sitting on the benches. 2 words for you, think benches. Every storefront should have a bench flanked with a pot on each side. Why do you think people put porch swings and stuff outside their houses? They may never sit on it. It says welcome. Benches should always be at the facade, flanked with a pot or a planter on each side. This we took in Cedar City. There's Jane, my model. I love this shop. There's a sign right next to the door. I saw one of these in Kanab. Your husband called, he said to buy anything you want. Smart retailer. So that was the 8. 7, 8, here's the other 7. 70% of all consumer retail spending takes place after 6 p.m. Now, people say, I doubt that. You know who did that? The National Retail Federation. Why do you think banks are open later? Why do you think Walmart's open until midnight, if not 24 hours? Why do you think McDonald's are open until 24 hours? Why do you think all these retails, the malls in there are open until 9 and 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week? This is not like the 70s. 70% after 6 p.m. Think about your visitors. You are selling recreation. See, lunchtime. Okay, I only have like 2 more slides. You are selling recreation. We do it during the day. We come back to spend money and you're closed. You're not getting that 80%. Extend your seasons. I already talked enough about it. And one more thing, last thing. We were driving around aimlessly and we saw this road. I went, what the heck? Let's just go for it. Might get stuck down here, who knows? We drove down there. We saw this little thing, a trail right here. And we went, I saw this little sign that said Cottonwood Trail. I went, let's go up there. And I just went, OMG. My gosh, this is 2 minutes out of downtown Kanab. I mean, look at that. And you're not promoting this stuff. And you know what? And quite frankly, if you say, well, yeah, dang straight we're not promoting it. That's ours. I could understand it. But I'm telling you, it was awesome. The next time we're coming to Kanab, we're going to walk this 4.6 miles. Because it looks, that's what the map said, 4.6 miles. I don't know if that's round trip or one way. That's one way. It looks just absolutely incredible. Now, this map over here, I don't know what it was, but you could use a little help with some of this stuff. But absolutely, there is your starter list. Absolutely. That Cottonwood Trail, all by itself. I mean, you're sending us an hour and a half away to see something that I have 2 minutes away. You have 2 minutes away. What's next? Make a list of these. So here's what's going to happen is, this is being filmed. And it will be posted. And I am going to be sending this very presentation in PDF, everything. We'd love to see you create a committee in Orderville, in Glendale, in Kanab, in Mount Carmel, in East Zion, and just say, what about our brand? What about our focus? I mean, out of these 107 things, besides the plaza, all of it was low-hanging fruit. All of it. It's taking an open sign out when a store is closed. It's stuff like that. If you clean up your corridor, find your focus, concentrate on that low-hanging stuff, make downtown your focus for Kanab, and create a central gathering place, I guarantee you it's going to work. The best time to plant trees 20 years ago, the same best time is today. And by the way, this is a promise. If you do these things, you will see your tourism and tax revenues more than triple in 5 years. If you want to know how much revenue they generate in Springdale, population of 700, go look at the numbers. Staggering. They beat all of you combined. You could do this. Promote your anchor tenants. That's number one. And so, in the end, make something happen. What you have here really, really is magical. Don't make us go look behind the curtain for the wizard. Look at your potential. Look at your potential. I've always said you should be blowing away Jackson, Wyoming, and all these places. I mean, that's why. I mean, what you have here is absolutely world class. Thank you so much for spending the morning with me. Thank you very much.